and welcome. Tomorrow, President Donald Trump will meet with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and other European leaders at the White House. The meeting is a follow-up to his Friday summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. The White House meeting aims to agree on a plan for a final peace in the war between Russia and Ukraine. Some European leaders expected to be in the White House are the prime ministers of Britain and Italy, the presidents of France and Finland, the Chancellor of Germany, and the EU chief. One agreement they hope to sign off on is a NATO-like security guarantee for Ukraine in exchange for a new final map for the country that will concede some territories to Russia. In other news, French President Emmanuel Macron sent a letter to President Paul Biya of Cameroon on Tuesday. In the letter, he acknowledged that France committed violence in Cameroon during and after the Central African nation's struggle for independence. The letter came following the release of a joint report by Cameroonian and French historians who examined the French suppression of independence movements from 1945 to 1971. In the letter, Macron writes, "A war had taken place in Cameroon, during which the colonial authorities and the French army exercised repressive violence of several kinds in certain regions of the country. It is up to me today to assume the role and responsibility of France in these events." It is 5:30 p.m. in Accra, Ghana, 6:30 p.m. in Lagos, Nigeria, and 1:30 p.m. in New York City. Wherever in the world you are joining us from, welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes Africa. My name is Rudolph Okonkwo. My co-host, Chido Onoma, is on assignment. Our guest today is a product of Nigerian immigrant greats and Texas upbringing. Junior Ezeonu was born in the commercial city of Onitsha, Nigeria, and moved to Texas as a toddler. Though he's lived nearly all his life, he never left his Nigerian heritage behind. Be it at Umibo United Convention or similar events, you see him celebrating Igbo culture, carrying his roots with pride and weaving them into his work in the community. The Ezeonu's move to Texas wasn't an easy one. Junior grew up watching his parents start over, working long hours to create opportunities for their kids. He credits his mom for being the quiet force behind it all, the kind of strength that you hardly see, make headlines, but shapes everything. Before politics came calling, Junior worked the kind of job that teach you patience and humility. Cashier at JCPenney, camp counselor, and later substitute teacher. He laughs, saying nothing prepares him for the city council quite like a room full of teenagers. At the University of Texas at Arlington, he earned his degree while tutoring, mentoring, and teaching. Going through his social media pages, you will see the real Junior. Council updates mixed with unfiltered moments, from videos of himself handing out proclamations to African cultural groups, to smiling and taking selfies from events, shout-outs to volunteers, and reflections on breaking barriers in local politics. At just 22, Junior pulled off an upset win against a 12-year incumbent to become Grand Prairie's youngest council member and the first African-American on the council since the 1990s. He takes that milestone seriously, but never without a sense of humor. His platform is about improving everyday life, better public transportation, lower property taxes, and improved infrastructure. But more than the bullet points, people know him for the personal touch. He follows up with residents, shows up at cookouts and church events, and cheers on kids at youth sports finals. Junior Ezeonu is more than just a council member. He is a community-first leader who never forgets where he came from or where he's headed. Please join me in welcoming to the show, Junior Ezeonu. Junior, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Okonkwo. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. I think this is the first time we are getting a younger person, the next generation, to be on the show. And we happen to get the best. You know, we are interested and we are excited to have you. Thank you so much for making our time.
Happy to be here.
Let me start with issues in the news. The first thing is what happened on Friday, which was the meeting between Trump and Putin. Everybody in the world watched. It had implications beyond America, beyond Ukraine. What do you make of that meeting?
Yeah, it was very interesting. Ukraine, the European states, and America was pushing for a ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire to allow for ongoing negotiations. Russia wants a peace agreement. And the reason is Russia is winning the war, unfortunately, right now, from our perspective. And they don't have a strategic advantage if there's a ceasefire. Ukraine is losing and has just a smaller number of people to fight in the war, and as well as military equipment. So a ceasefire would benefit Ukraine greatly more. So Russia doesn't want to do that. Russia wants a peace agreement, which will more than likely, if we're just being realistic, lead to Ukraine ceding a good chunk of land, probably 20% of the country's landmass, especially in the eastern regions of Ukraine, to the Russian Federation. Russia will more than likely, through this peace agreement, take over large parts of Ukraine, and then probably the international community will end up recognizing Crimea as part of Russia. It's unfortunate for Ukraine, but unless America gets into a direct hot war with Russia, there's pretty much no way Ukraine can win this war.
What does that mean for smaller countries in situations like Ukraine? You know, take for instance, if you look at the Chinese territory, you know, Taiwan. If China sees that this is what Russia got, why wouldn't they take Taiwan?
It's very worrisome. And that is a big fear, that should we sign on to an agreement with Russia to allow Russia to annex the eastern regions in Ukraine, China will be like, this small island nation of Taiwan, we can go and take this back, because China still views Taiwan as part of mainland China. So it's very worrisome. But this is the issue with geopolitics. A lot of it ends up being might. Might is right, rather than just respect of national borders or national sovereignty. Sometimes it just comes down to who has the bigger guns and the larger military and the larger weaponry, and who's going to fight them back to push them back.
I know you studied political science, and I wonder, when you look at the world today, what do you think is the direction things are going? I was, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say things are heading into we are currently in a unipolar world where America is the sole superpower. More than likely 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're going to be in a bipolar world where it's America and China dominating the global stage. That's the direction we're heading into. America being a superpower, being the sole superpower for about, what is it, almost 40 years now, since the fall of the Soviet Union, has been an amazing feat that's not seen that often. But we're definitely heading in a direction where it's going to be America and China competing for global supremacy.
We are going to get to what you do as a councilman in Texas. But before then, let me get your view, because I see some of your videos on social media, and you talk about things like Gaza, what's happening in the Middle East. Can you tell me, what do you make of the situation there?
Oh, I'm heartbroken. I'm greatly disappointed. I'm a proud Democratic voter and party member of Democratic Party. But I blame Joe Biden, who was our president prior to Trump coming in, for enabling the Israeli onslaught on Gaza. There's a way to prosecute a war. There's a way to go after terrorists. But we enabled for far too long crimes against humanity, just being frank with you, where the IDF is bombing churches, is bombing mosques, is bombing schools, is bombing what is it called? Hospitals, all these different civilian infrastructure that we know as Americans, if we had a terrorist in any of these places in our country, we're not going to bomb them. Rather, we're going to send in special forces to remove the terrorists or kill the terrorists. There's a talk that was amongst many members of Congress where they were saying that the IDF should be using a scalpel rather than a hammer when it comes to prosecuting that war, when your goal is to eradicate Hamas. So that's where it started. And now we're seeing starvation of almost 2 million people, a humongous famine. It's heartbreaking. It's disappointing. And Donald Trump is now just scaling it up to the next level and not doing much to help the people of Gaza. So I'm very disappointed in our leadership in America amongst both parties who have not done the job that they're supposed to do when it just comes to humanitarianism and protection of human rights.
Why do you think that elected officials in America are not bold enough to say, even to say what you just said now? Most of them will not be able to say that. Senators, House of Rep. Why?
It's money. It's just being frank with you, it's money. In campaigns, you have to raise, if you're running for the United States Senate or United States Congress, you will need to raise millions upon millions of dollars. In Texas, to run for Senate, you got to raise about $100 million. To run for the House of Representatives, the Congressional House, you got to raise about $5 to $10 million. And people don't want AIPAC, which is a major political action committee, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, to spend millions of dollars against them in their campaigns, because you will probably lose. You will likely lose because of all the money that's going to be spent on marketing and campaign attacks against you, because most voters, just don't know who you are. So you raise money to be able to get in front of these voters and inform them on your policies and on what you want to do if you're elected. So a lot of candidates, a lot of elected officials are just fearful of losing their seats. And they feel that while being in office, I can do small change to help this system rather than me being out of office and losing all the power that I once had. The way I look at it, just being very frank with you, Mr. Okonkwo, is that if I'm in a position of leadership, regardless if I'm going to lose my seat for me speaking out for what's right, I just want to be comfortable. When I go to bed, I sleep well at night. I'm a practicing Catholic. I really believe in my faith. And I believe God is putting us here to make a difference, regardless of what will happen after that difference is made. We have to speak out against what is wrong and speak out for what is right.
In the news that I read at the beginning, we talked about the situation in the Cameroon. Paul Biya is a man that is in his 90s. He's been there for 43 years. He's running for re-election. But that's not the most important news to most people. It was that France, the President Macron wrote a letter to him on Tuesday, acknowledging the atrocities they committed in the country during before independence, during the fight for independence. But he did not apologize. He did not talk about reparation. What do you make of that? Because all through countries in Africa, it's still an issue about the role these European countries played in what's going on in Africa today and whether they should pay for it.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing with President Macron doing his outreach to the president of Cameroon, a former French colony, is France is worried, as many European countries are worried right now, Western European countries, regarding the influence of Russia and China into Africa. China has invested greatly in Africa, providing infrastructure in exchange for resources across dozens of countries across the continent of Africa. You see in a country like Burkina Faso with their new leader, Ibrahim Traoré, who is now abandoning the franc, which is the French-backed currency that many Francophone countries in West Africa and Africa as a whole utilize. So France is trying to do outreach to preserve those relationships, and as well as those financial cooperation, economic cooperatives that they have with the different nations in West Africa and Africa as a whole that are French speaking. So I think that's what we're seeing right now. And it goes back to what I talked about earlier about the bipolar world that we're currently moving in towards, where it's USA and China that are the dominant figures. If you look at it in a greater scale, it's really China, Russia that are allied, and then the USA and Europe, Western Europe that are allied. And Western Europe and America are losing their influence across many of these formerly considered third world, now developing nations. And that's what's happening now. There's a much greater influence of Russia and China into Africa, and France is trying to hold on to what is left of their colonial influence in West Africa and Africa as a whole.
All right. Before we come to Texas and what you do there, let me ask you: do you follow events in Nigeria?
I do. I'm not up to date on everything, but I do try to read the news and stay up to date.
Are you? What do you think about the leader, the current president of Nigeria?
That's a very good question. I was really excited when Peter Obi was running. I even met him in Dallas a couple times during his campaign, and he is who I thought would be the best leader for Nigeria to transform Nigeria and move Nigeria in the right direction. I think the current leadership of Nigeria right now is still struggling when it comes to that sense of vision, when it comes to that sense of developing and following through on promises. Nigeria is a blessed country, man. It's a blessed country. We're Nigerian Americans, right? Nigerians come to America and succeed very well. Nigerians go to Europe, succeed. Go to China, Australia, succeed. I mean, we do well everywhere we go, except our nation, Nigeria. Nigeria is not working for Nigerians. I think the current leader of Nigeria, Mr. Tinubu, has to work very hard to fix those issues. When we look at infrastructure and insecurity as two major issues, just basic infrastructure and basic security, where people feel safe and people can move around safely. So I think if he can resolve that, he will, end up a leader that's viewed favorably by the people. But as of right now, I don't think he's made much headway in resolving those issues.
You are a councilman in Texas. What does that mean? For those who do not know, what does that mean? What do you do day to day? What is your job?
Yeah, it's a great question. So every single city in Texas and in America will have a body of government. That body of government has several different names, but it's all the same functions. In Grand Prairie, we have a city council. Some areas have a board of aldermen, which is another way, like Chicago, that's what they call it, aldermen. But in Grand Prairie, we call it a council. The city council is comprised in our city, but similar to other cities, we have 9 members. We have 8 city council members and 1 mayor. Grand Prairie is a city of 210,000 people. So it's a very large suburb in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're right next to Dallas. So if you know where Dallas is one of the biggest cities in this country. We touch Dallas. We're a sister city to Dallas, right next to it. So the city council in Grand Prairie is comprised, very interestingly, where we have 6 single member districts and 2 at-large districts. So a single member district means that one council member will represent a cluster of neighborhoods or communities within the city, each one comprising about 30 to 35,000 people, or about 35 to probably 40,000 people. Me, I'm one of the 2 at-large members. At-large means that I represent the entire city from North Grand Prairie all the way to South Grand Prairie. So since I was 22 years old, I've been representing 210,000 people for the last 4 years now. The job of the city council is we have meetings, we vote on issues that deal with the community. Any business or any enterprise that wants to come into the city and set up shop has to get city council approval. On the city level, we call laws ordinances. So we have different ordinances that deal with where you can sell liquor, where you can set up a business for this, the hours of operation for different entities, where infrastructure dollars can be spent, how we will spend those infrastructure dollars, where we'll do capital improvement projects, all of those things. Imagine a city council being like Congress, right? And then the mayor is the president of the city. So the mayor is the executive, the city council is the legislative body. And for me as a city council member, I don't just go to City Hall and do work there. I try to be very active in our community to bring more people into city government, to show them what happens with city government, how city government can impact and improve your lives. And that's what I try to do as a council member. Being that I'm 26 years old, I have a lot of energy. Yeah, exactly. That's a picture of me going to elementary schools and reading and speaking to students and educating them as to what a city council is and what we do as city council members.
So does it mean what is the budget like for the city council? I just want to think about something. The budget of your city, Grand Prairie. What's the budget?
Yeah. And one great thing I want to brag about, just very briefly before I tell you the budget. This past summer, I was appointed as the finance and government chairman of the city council. So we just concluded our budget workshop this past Thursday. And the finance and government chairman is one of the most important positions on the city council, because the finance and government committee deals with everything that deals with monetary funds, any kind of funding that we will spend, city contracts, procurements, anything has to go through my committee. And for me to be that at 26 is unheard of. It doesn't happen. Normally the budget chairman is 60, 70, 80 years old. So that's one thing. But our budget is just under $600 million. That's our city budget, just under $600 million.
Okay, I don't expect that you know a lot about the intricate politics in Africa, but think about this. You know, in Africa, we hear stories about money being mismanaged. Can you briefly, because there are people who are watching, tell us how approvals come about in expenditure by the city council? How is it done? Do you is it possible for someone who is a member of the council to corner some money and take it home the way we see in Africa? How is it done here?
Yeah, so America is much more bureaucratic in nature, where elected officials do not have direct contact with city funds or city dollars. We don't touch it. City staff deals with all of that. So all the spending is done by city staff. So this is what the process would look like. Let's say there's a contract that the city is trying to bid out to have somebody do landscaping for us. We'll have several landscapers submit RFPs, requests for proposals, or RFQs, requests for qualifications. And then the city staff will score each one of them based on their experience, based on the work that they've done before, the quality that they do, and an interview. From there, the city staff will come to my finance and government committee to have us approve a budget, approve a contract for a specific contractor. If we approve it, good. It goes to the city council. The city council will then approve it. And then the money that's there will be spent by the staff. The staff will be paying the contractor as they're completing the project. We will never have our hands will never touch the money. It will solely be in the hands of the city staff. We also have auditors. We have internal auditors that audit all the dollars spent, all the dollars budgeted by the city internally. And then we have external auditors that we hire to come in and do these financial checks annually. This happens every year. So should someone misplace money or try to commit a financial crime or some form of fraud or embezzlement, they will be caught. It's very hard to embezzle governmental funds. Has it happened in America? I'm sure it happens, but at a very small scale, because there's many different checks and layers before a dollar is spent, and then accountability after the dollar is spent.
So I'm sure that if you look at most African countries, on paper, they have the same similar structure, but somehow it's not being followed. What do you think is responsible for that? Do you think it's because there are no prosecutors, or there are no willpower to actually enforce it? Or do you think it's something inherent in Africans?
I don't think it's inherent in Africans. If that was the case, we have several African politicians in America. If that was the case, we'd be seeing it here, and we don't. I think it's the system. I think the system allows for it through two major ways. Number one, there's not major prosecutorial systems where if you commit a crime, you're going to go to jail. If you commit a crime, you're going to get locked up or you'll be prosecuted. People that have power, and power is respected no matter what they do, unfortunately. The second thing is many of the people that are the bureaucrats within the system are severely underpaid. So accepting a bribe to do something wrong is more likely because of them being underpaid. They're incentivized to do that. I think that works. So when you have the lack of a structural system that prosecutes you should you commit a crime, and then you also have people that are struggling to make ends meet, you're now creating an environment where corruption will happen at a greater rate. Not saying that corruption doesn't happen in European or Western countries, but I think when you have the system of prosecution and also fair payment, it's less likely for us to see that across the board.
Now, looking in general at politics in Texas, what's going on? Why are lawmakers in Texas leaving Texas, running away to other places? What's going on in the politics in Texas?
Texas is the wild, wild west. I'll just tell you that. It's the wild, wild west. So President Donald Trump told Republican leadership across the country in states that are Republican controlled in their state legislature. So let me explain the different levels of American federalism. So you have the United States Congress, which is the House and Senate. They make up the Congress. they work with the president. Then each state will have a governor and a state legislature. The state legislatures of all states except for Nebraska are bicameral, meaning that they have a House and a Senate. Some states will have different names called House of Delegates, House of Assembly, but they have a House and a state Senate, state House, state Senate. Trump told the governors and the state legislators in states like Texas, Missouri, Ohio, Florida, and I think one or two other strong Republican states to redraw the congressional lines because he wanted them to be more Republican, to give Republicans a better chance to win re-election, to hold the majority in the House, in the federal House of Representatives in 2026. Texas being one of the biggest states, we have 38 members of Congress in Texas, and also we're a Republican state for the last 30 years. We voted for Republicans up and down the ticket for the last 30 years. He knew that it would be very doable to do that in Texas. So the Republicans in Texas drew maps that gave them additional 5 seats. Keep in mind, the maps that we have in Texas right now are already very unfair, very unfair. Currently, we have 25 Republicans and 13 Democrats that represent the state, when the state really should be about 23 Republicans and like, 15 or 16 Democrats. It should be closer, or 22-16. But it's a very gerrymandered map already. They made it even more gerrymandered. They expanded the number of Republican seats by 5 seats. So when they pass this map, they're going to have 30 Republicans and 8 Democrats for a state that votes for Democrats with 45% of the percentage of the vote. So what the Democrats did is the Democrats left the states to boycott the vote. So what that means is, for you to do business in the state legislature, you have to have 2/3 majority of members there to establish what is called a quorum. If you don't have 2/3 majority of the members there, you cannot establish a quorum. You cannot do business. You can't operate state business. So they have to wait until the members come back. Here's the problem. The members are going to come back likely by the end of this month or in the next couple of days or so, at the start of the next special session. So the vote, this thing will be passed. I keep telling people, if the Democrats don't want to pass this map, if they want to block it until 2028, what they should do is wait until the filing period for the 2026 election begins in November. The filing period opens up November 8th. If Democrats come back on November 9th, Republicans cannot pass a bill to redraw the lines that will be effective in 2026 because the filing period to run for office has already began and the lines are set in place. The Republicans could pass whatever, but it would not go on until 2028. And in the meantime, Democrats could sue the Republicans over the next 2 or 3 years to see if they could block that thing from going into place. So that's what they should do. But unfortunately, the Democrats probably will be coming back in town in the next few days. And the Republicans will end up passing this thing by the end of this month.
Do you support what the governor of California is planning to do as a response to this, which is to do their own new map?
Yes, I support what the governor of California is doing. Here's his problem, though. He will have a bigger roadblock than the Republicans in Texas have. California, back in about 2008 or 2009, passed a proposition that required an independent redistricting committee to draw the maps instead of the partisan Democratic state legislature. So for the last 15 years, the maps in California have been considered more fair than most maps across the country. So for them to gerrymander the maps, they have to have voter approval through a referendum election in November. They should have the votes because California is about 60% Democrat, but there are some Democrats that are very much so against gerrymandering. So there's a chance that he may struggle to even get that thing passed. My hope is that he'll pass it, but there's no guarantee because some Democratic voters may vote against it because they're principally against gerrymandering, even if it hurts their electoral chances. And that's how some Democratic voters just are.
Quite interesting. So looking at your political career, which you're just starting, where do you see yourself going in years to come?
You know, I love the work that I do as a council member. I was blessed to get elected at 22 years old. And my biggest goal right now has been to just bring more young people in, bring more people of color, bring more Black people, African people, everyone into politics. I want I want more diversity on all of our elected bodies, whether it's school board, it's city council, it's state senate, state rep, whatever. I want to see more diversity. I want to see younger folks get involved as well. So that's been my major priority right now, building that pipeline. I'm a naturalized citizen. I'm not a natural born citizen, so I can't run for president. Unfortunately, I can't be president one day. But I do hope to, by the grace of God, to keep serving for the next 40, 50 years, however long God will allow me to serve, while I'm still mentally competent and able to do the job. So I'm not sure where I'll be in the next few years, but I just want to keep serving, and I'll go wherever the Lord takes me, that allows me to serve the people of this country and people of my community that have given me an opportunity to grow as a leader as well.
In Africa, politicians say things like, I had a calling, somebody called me and I felt that I should go and be a governor or be a senator. What will tell you that it's time to go to the next level and do the next thing you might want to do in politics?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to pray over it. I'm a very prayerful person. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the grace of God. But at the same time, I'm very pragmatic. I'm not going to run for something I can't win. Excuse me. If I can't win it, I'm not going to run for it. So it has to be a seat that I see as a viable alternative to the work that I'm doing currently. At the same time, I have to find someone that I would feel would be a great person to succeed me in my work as a council member. I really believe in succession planning. I really believe in carrying the torch, passing the torch, to the next generation of leaders, whether it's someone that's older than me or someone that's my age or even younger. Because we need, when we bring change to a community, it has to sustain past our time. It can't just stop when you stop. You have to have someone that you're mentoring, that's following you to take over once you're done, to continue doing the good work for the community.
All right. What we're going to do now, we're going to take a break. Maybe you can take water. And when we come back, we talk about your family, how you got to be where you are, as an inspiration for younger people who are watching, who may want to follow the same path. So we take a break. We'll be back with Texas Councilman Ezeonu Jr.
August 9th, 2025 as Who We Will Unite Day. It has now been signed, sealed, and delivered.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're having a conversation with Junior Ezeonu, who is councilman representing at large for Grand Prairie. Welcome back. And there was an incident in 2014, really an incident, an event at the Oscar Awards. Lupita Nyong'o won the Oscars for lead actress. And she said that, and I don't forget this, that all dreams are valid. She was talking to people, young people like her, who had dreams of winning Oscars, being actresses, that all dreams are valid, that people should pursue their dreams. I wanted to know, when did you come up with this dream of being a politician in America?
Man, it's a great question. I had a teacher back in third grade. I'll never forget her, Miss Ali Shulman. Very nice lady. She told me, Junior, one day you're going to be president. And when you become president, don't forget about me. And I told her, I can't be president. I wasn't born in this country. I'm a naturalized citizen. She said, don't worry. By the time you're 35 and you're of age, the law will change. And now the law is changing in the other direction. So let's see what happens. But it was definitely for me during high school. High school is whenever I definitely decided that I'd run for office one day. It was during the 2016 presidential election, and it was during the Democratic primary. Bernie Sanders, he's the guy that inspired me. I just fell in love with his leadership and the way he looked at politics. I don't agree with everything that Bernie Sanders stands for, and I don't think you can agree with everything any politician stands for. But I liked his humility, his genuineness, if that's a word. He was just a real guy that cared about working and taking care of regular people. During his campaign, you would just see him out there with regular folks and talking about issues that mattered to people like me, raising the minimum wage. At that time, I was 16 or 17. I had just got my first job. I was working at Kroger, pushing carts and bagging groceries. And Mr. Okonkwo, you don't live in Texas, so you may not understand. But in the summer, it is hot
I've
in
been
Texas.
there.
It is hot. So imagine me, this young Nigerian boy, out there in that sun in Texas. I mean, it punishes you. So I was getting paid $7.55 an hour, just a little bit above the minimum wage. Because in Texas, we haven't raised the minimum wage; it's still $7.25 for the last 15 years.
Till now?
Till now, it's still $7.25 in Texas. It's a Republican state, that's how Republicans do it. So Bernie spoke about that. He spoke about expanding healthcare coverage, Medicare for all, which really appealed to me. But he was just a real person. And I said, I want to be like that. I want to fight for my community. I want to stand up for my community. I want to speak out against things, whether they are popular or unpopular, because I know it's the right thing. So I decided back then I'd run. I told my parents, and my parents said, cool, we're happy that you want to do politics. That's my dad right there. They say, we're happy you want to do politics. This is Steve Ezeonu. I'm Steve Ezeonu Jr. So I'm the junior, right? But I told my parents I wanted to do politics. They said, that's cool. Just make sure you go to law school first. That was the deal. That was the deal. You go to law school first, and then we can figure out this political thing. But you got to go to law school first. So I went to UTA. I studied political science. And during my final semester at UTA, actually, let's backtrack a little bit. During my final year at UTA, I was selected to go to Washington, D.C. to intern. That's my mom, my sweet mother right there. I was selected to go to Washington, D.C. to do an internship. And I was very blessed to go. The only problem is it was during the COVID pandemic. So in DC, everything was shut down. Everything was closed. Our internship was very hybrid. So we would be in the office sometimes. We'll be back at home on the computer sometimes. But it was still a great experience. I came back home to Grand Prairie, Dallas area, and I ran for council against a long-term incumbent. I remember telling my parents, this is what I told my parents verbatim. I told my mom and my dad, we're sitting down eating dinner. I said, if somehow by the grace of God, I win this election, I'm not going to law school.
That's what I wanted to ask, whether you are still going to go back to law school. So
I told them, if I win this election by the grace of God, I'm not going to law school. Because for me, I never wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to be a politician. And for me, and for the last 4 years, I've done well for myself. We don't get paid to be on city council in Grand Prairie. Many suburban cities don't pay. Yeah, we're glorified volunteers. That's how I look at it. So we all have day jobs. And my day job is a political strategist, a political consultant. So I'm very comfortable. I live a great life. And I didn't go to law school and I saved money. So for me, law school is not on the horizon, but things may change one day. Who knows?
wow. So okay, I like that. So now so you didn't have any resistance from your parents. What about all your friends and colleagues? I mean, what did they think?
Yeah. So when I told my parents my plans, I actually also called a few of my really close friends, and I told them, and they said, we support you. We'll support you, but you're running against an incumbent, and he's been there for 12 years. Are you sure? I said, God forbid I lose. I'm going to learn so much. I'm going to grow as a young man, as a leader, and hopefully I'll inspire someone else to do the same thing in their jurisdiction or their city. And at the same time, I'm going to build my name in the community. So God forbid I lose. I have so much to gain. And that was the calculus, and my friends agreed with me. So they supported me. They even donated to my campaign. Several of them volunteered for me. So it was a blessing.
What is the ethnic composition of your city?
Grand Prairie is actually, funny enough, 45% Hispanic. People are surprised when they hear that, but the Dallas-Fort Worth area is heavily Hispanic. Texas is 40% Hispanic as a whole. So Grand Prairie is about 45% Hispanic. It's 25% white, 25% black, and about 5% Asian. When I was running for city council at that time, back in 2021, there was 7 white Americans on the council and 2 Hispanics, no African Americans. And now our city council has 4 African Americans, 2 Hispanics, and 3 white Americans.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, for young people, children of Africans born in America or anywhere in the world who they're watching you now, what do you say to them? Because sometimes, maybe because of limitations placed on by their parents, there are some cases where kids might want to do something, their parents are pushing them in a certain direction. What do you say to them in terms of where they could go, what they could do based on your experience?
This is what I tell all of them whenever I have conversations. I say, run. If you want to run, if you want to serve, run. Ask me to help you. I'd be more than happy to help you and give you advice and connect you with people that may be beneficial for your campaign. We all have a voice, and we all have a right to serve should we choose to. If you're an American citizen, you have a right to run for office. If you don't want to run, but you want to be involved, volunteer or work on a campaign or knock on doors for a candidate or make phone calls for a candidate. Just get your feet wet and learn what it is to run on a campaign. And eventually, what I try to tell a lot of them is I want you guys to, if you don't want to run for office, but you want to be behind the scenes, I want you to become a consultant, because there's so much money. Our people are focused on coming to this country to move upward in the economic ladder. There's so much money in political consulting. Keep in mind, why are these politicians raising hundreds of millions of dollars to run for Senate or to run for governor? Because they have to pay consultants that are going to help them do their mail programs, help them get door knockers, create their strategic campaign plans when it comes to the field. There's consultants that help you raise money. So there's so much opportunity in the political sphere for young children of immigrants, young Nigerian Americans, Black Americans, whoever. But we haven't gotten involved at the level that we should. But there's a lot of knowledge of our communities that we have that we can provide to politicians, provide to prospective candidates that would really appreciate it and be very beneficial to them.
This is a question that is of interest to some kids. I was at a wedding where I was the MC, and I had them, young kids born here, doing their toast, giving their talk, and they kind of indicted their parents for certain things. Typical African parents, we mentioned one of them now, which is you have to study law or medicine, pushing them in the direction that they probably didn't want to go. I felt that they didn't give credits to their parents. I almost stopped being MC to debate them. But the question I have for you is, were there advantages you had growing up because your parents were from Nigeria that people who were born here didn't?
Great advantages, several. And that's one thing that we'll definitely discuss later when we talk about some of the issues that African American people that are descendants of slaves in America, that they don't have, that African immigrants have. But one of the major advantages is coming from a two-parent household, which people often don't even think about. But we're very lucky and blessed. Those of us that are raised in a two-parent household, we're very, very lucky, very, very blessed with that. Another thing is our parents are very big in pushing us to go in education, get a good degree, get a good job, you'll be fine. A lot of folks that I grew up with in the inner city areas of the DFW, either they're coming from a single parent household, which just makes their life more complicated and more difficult because their mom or dad is the only person that's providing or only one that's looking after them, which is just imagine the hard work of raising several kids by yourself is very demanding. But their parent may not be able to help them with their homework. I had my mom or my dad help me with my math homework when I was in second or third grade, or their parent may not be there to take them to this or take them to this extracurricular opportunity, which is vital. But I think the direction that our parents give us is so key, and we don't give them credit. I tell my parents every time, thank you for pushing me on school. My dad especially would say this. My mom was much more nicer, but my dad would really push us on this. My dad would say, I know you want to play basketball. That's cool. But make sure you do your homework. Make sure you make all A's. Make sure you get these good grades. Because if you don't get these good grades, you're not going to play basketball. So in my brain, I love basketball. I wanted to go to the NBA when I was a kid. I love basketball. I want to play the sport. But my dad is like, no, you can play the sport. The sport is a privilege. What the priority is school. You're making those good grades. And that's why for me, throughout my entire high school and middle school, I took all AP classes. I took AP, I came into college with over a semester done of college from just my AP credits that I got from high school. So that's a major advantage that we have. And that's why I try to give our parents credit for just pushing us in the right direction for us to be financially successful when we get older, but also put us in a position where we can be successful and now provide for our kids. That's a big advantage that we have. So when I have a child and I get married and have children, my children will be in a better position than the average person in this country because of the structure that my parents built up for me, and I can now pass it on to them.
Do you think you and your generation that you owe the motherland, Africa, anything? Because there are young kids we see today in America and Europe, children of Africans, saying that they don't even owe their parents anything. You know, they don't believe in, they've become part of that society there where they were born, in the sense that, you know, the society will take care of you, that you don't owe anything to your parents or to the continent where your parents came from. Where do you fall on that?
So this is going to be an individual decision for every individual. Everybody's going to decide how they view this. But for me, I 100% owe the motherland, owe Nigeria, owe my city, my town, my states, Nigeria, something. Because without that being where my parents are from and where I was born, I would not be Junior Ezeonu. I wouldn't be the man I am today. America is where I was raised and I was bred and I was groomed, but my roots are in Nigeria. So I've never forgotten that. That's why I'm still very active in many things. I send money back home to my family in Nigeria. I've been doing that since I was 17 years old. Yeah.
Who do you send money to?
I'll send it to my grandparents, my grandma, some of my uncles and aunt, like my cousin. Like I send money back home. And I've been doing that since I was 17.
I'll cut out this part and play it for my kids.
Yeah. No, but it's important because I think something that we have to keep in mind, we are blessed to be here, but we are no better than those that are back home. That's one thing that young Nigerian Americans or any immigrant has to keep in mind. We are beyond blessed. God blessed us and gave us an opportunity to grow up here, to live in this great country, best country in the world. But we're no better than those that are left behind at home. So whatever we can do to help them, that does not mean you have to give them money for them to go and spend it on whatever. maybe is you're creating a system. That's one thing I love about Umuibo Unites, UIU. UIU every year, they show us what they do with the money that we give them through being a member, through the money that we pay for the conventions and everything. They go and do infrastructure projects in Nigeria, in different towns in Igbo land. They go and they build hospitals, they build schools, they put kids through school, they pay for their tuition, they give them scholarships. We owe stuff to those that are back in Nigeria as much as we owe stuff to people here. Like for me as an elected official, I'm going to take care of my constituents in America because I represent them. And this is where I grew up. But I'm never going to forget about the people back home that bear my last name and bear my culture and my cultural identity, being that's where I was born and that's where my family's from.
All right, one more question, and then I'll let our audience join us in this conversation. So there's just something that has been going on, it's brewing, and now it's becoming something more serious, which is this demarcation between African Americans. So someone like me could say I'm a Nigerian American, but there are African children, like my kids are supposedly African Americans. Some days they can agree they are Nigerian Americans. But there's this division that we're seeing now where you have people who now call themselves foundational Black Americans. I believe that's what it is.
Yeah, FBA.
And it's got to the point where there is a campaign to boycott African businesses in America. What is going on? How do you navigate that divide? Because for someone like you, I mean, I know what side I am on, but for someone like you, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, so first thing for me is I'm a proud African American, whichever way you look at that, whether that's considering me being an African from Africa or being a Black American who lives in America. I'm both. When a police officer pulls me over, he's going to see me as a Black man, regardless of whatever I call myself or others may call me. So that's the first thing. I'm very proud. America was built by Black Americans. Black Americans' blood, their sweat, their pain built this country. The White House was built by slaves. Many of the most wealthiest cities were built by African Americans that worked for free because they were slaves. Not to mention when they left and migrated to the north, many cities that were supposed to be more liberal were still very bad to African Americans. African Americans, Black Americans, are the reason why African immigrants like ourselves were able to come to this country and experience freedom and civil rights. It's through the work that they put in for 20, 30, 60, 70, 100 years, a long period of time to move from just Reconstruction to, keep in mind this, the Civil War ended in 1865. Reconstruction period began in 1865, ended in like 1875 or something like that. For another 90 years, African Americans did not have the equal rights that white Americans had. It wasn't until 1964 Civil Rights Act, 1965 Voting Rights Act that Black Americans could participate in democracy at the same rate that white people could. We just got to keep that in mind. So that's the first thing. The African Americans are the bedrock of this country. Without the work that they put in, we would not be here and to experience the blessings that we have. I have no problem with African Americans that are foundational Black Americans calling themselves foundational Black Americans. I have no problem with that. The problem that I have is when African immigrants and Black Americans that are descendants of slaves or foundational Black Americans no longer view ourselves as dealing with similar issues. We're not going to deal with all the same problems, but we will share issues because we're one community in the sense of how they check us on the census. You're either going to be Black/African American, or you're going to be white, Hispanic, Asian, or whatever other ethnicity. So we will have differing views on certain things, different views on culture, different views on marriage, different views on certain race relations, but we will still deal with a lot of the same problems. So we have to stay unified as a community. Many times, the people that are pushing the divisions that we're seeing on social media are agitators that are not Black, that are not African American. They're agitators that are hoping to stir and cause a division between our communities, because divided we fall, but united we stand. So that's what I try to talk about in my community in Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie is 25% African American, and it's the African Americans that make up that 25% are going to be probably 23, 24% foundational Black Americans that can trace their ancestry to slavery, that are not immigrants. And we have great relationships. I'm them and they are me. We're all together, because whenever someone that's not Black sees us, they see us as a Black person. And we're going to share a lot of the same problems. So we have to work together to find solutions to those problems and be honest and have empathy. And that's on both sides. Both sides have to have empathy to the other side, because there are things that we may not agree on and things that we may not see it in the same way. But we have to have empathy and the grace to understand that we have to work together to make our communities a better place and to move this country in the right direction.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me now bring in people who are in the studio. If you want to join us, please turn on your camera. We only bring you in if your camera is on, and have an opportunity to talk to our guest. So the first person is Bobolo 2028. Go ahead.
Yeah, Honorable Junior, if you did Nigeria, we'll call you Honorable or His Excellency.
Thank you.
Thank for your time. Yes, man, I have so many questions to ask you, but let me put this one before you. As a Nigerian American, right? I've pretty much lived everywhere. I traveled from North Dakota to I'm in New Jersey right now. I've lived in Dallas and all that. There's one thing we all the states have in common when it comes to Nigeria and America is that we are not organized. We don't have a body. We are talking about the Igbo body and what they are doing, right? We don't have anything like that as Nigerians. And I think that is what other community like the Chinese community, Indian community have advantage over us, despite all our individual success, education, money, you name it, whatever. Nigerians are there, but we are not one. Based on that, we lack power. And people don't understand that. You, as a councilman, I believe your primary consequence is young people, right? You are going up there, right? As you move up in age, that primary consequence, you will lose it to other young people, right? Now, where will be your primary constituency? Imagine if we have a Nigerian as an organization. Yes, you are representing a very small city, Grand Prairie. But if we have it as a national body, it will be a body that you can actually go to bed knowing that, you know what, this so amount of numbers, people, money is there for me, regardless of what, right? So coming again, but from what Rudolph was talking about, your age group, thinking about if you owe Nigeria anything. But first, are you looking into that direction of building that organization here first to have influence? Because for me, the fact that we don't have any community where Nigerians have hospital where they can treat themselves, business where they can employ themselves or feed themselves, and all that, we should be consider ourselves as having a voice or powerful. So is there anything like that ever cross your attention, or if you look into that direction already to form an organization that is Nigeria and Igbo or outside you?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. So when I was first running for council back in 2021, I worked with an organization that's called NAPAC. I'm not sure if you've heard of NAPAC. It's the Nigerian American Public Affairs Committee. And what their primary goal is to elect more Nigerian Americans across the country. They actually came together during the runoff. They supported me pretty well and raised about $5,000 for me in the span of a week to help me win my runoff election. So NAPAC has started that work. I think they need more support because the problem with the Nigerian American community is that we have humongous numbers, but we're unorganized. We don't have an organizational structure, as you're stating. Think about this. Whenever someone passes away, any family member or whatever, Nigerians immediately do what? They'll create a committee of friends, right? And they will start raising a crazy amount of money for funeral expenses, for the wakekeeping, for all of that. Crazy amount of money that they'll raise for that. If we could just take even 10% of that, group it through NAPAC or another organization, and fund candidates up and down the ticket across the country, regardless of political party, because we're being nonpartisan right now. But I prefer one specific political party, and support those candidates. There's no reason why Nigerian Americans, being the largest Black immigrant ethnic group from Africa, does not have one member of Congress. Eritrea has a member of Congress, Joe Neguse. Somalia has a member of Congress, Ilhan Omar. And now Ghana has a member of Congress. I'm blanking on his name, but he's in the New England area, I think in Massachusetts. Nigerian Americans, we should have one member of Congress at the very least. what can that member do? When you're having issues with the nation of Nigeria, he's going to be a large voice because he represents the American government. He doesn't just represent his state or his constituency. He's a representative of the American government. Same way that me, I don't just represent my district in Grand Prairie. I represent the whole city. I represent a big portion of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So my voice carries within this area, this community. That's the same thing that we need. So I will probably not be the one to found that organization, but I'm supporting NAPAC and other Nigerian American organizations that are doing the political activity on the ground to help them get elected. And we've started the work. Look, in Georgia, we have 4 Nigerian state representatives in Georgia. In Pennsylvania, we have 1. In Minnesota, we have 1 state representative over there. And then we have several council members in the Maryland DMV area. So there's progress that's being made. It's just moving too slow. And I think with NAPAC, we have to scale it up. We need to bring more and more Nigerians involved because we have the capital. The problem is we don't have the organization that's scaled to the level that we need to be competitive in all these elections. And the other thing you said about my constituency, funny enough, my primary constituency in Grand Prairie, city of 210,000 people, are those over the age of 50. Young people listen to me and support me and come to my things, but they don't vote at the scale that those over 50 vote. 50 and up, that's the people that vote. And the older they get, the more they vote. 70-year-old people vote at almost a 90% clip. 80-year-old, I don't know how they're doing it, but almost 100% clip. They're voting like crazy. The lower the number is, the less they vote. The higher the number is, the more they vote at their percentage. So that's what I've done. And I know as I continue to climb the political ladder and serve in different capacities, there's going to be a more diverse demographics that are going to support me. But I'm never going to forget, with our Nigerian Americans, we have to be organized. If we are organized, Nigerians can elect a mayor of a big city or a governor of a state one day. Why not? Arnold Schwarzenegger is originally from Austria, became the governor of California, the most populous state in the country. So this is very possible. It just takes organization and well thought out plans and fundraising.
All right. Thank you, Ovie. Let's go to Chris. Christian S.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for the work you do. But I'm just I'm an Igbo man, so I'm primarily thinking of Igbo as a race.
Mm-hmm.
In 1949, a great man who studied in where you are now, named Nnamdi Azikiwe, addressed the Igbo nation, in which he said that Igbo nations are placed in a better position to lead Africa. And the way I see it today is like Igbo people are now relegated to the as a whipping boy, even in the country where they tried so hard to build. My question is the role the Jews played in sustaining the state of Israel, the Jews. Do you think that you people in America who are, the role the American Jews particularly played in making sure that the Jews do not suffer the kind of hatred, anti-Semite they suffer, or what do you think is the role of people like you with, in making sure that Igbo nation as a race do not suffer this kind of hatred, Igbophobia, and all the rest of them, and even if possible to have what we call self-determination, which Nnamdi Azikiwe also talked about in 1949.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that question. And yeah, the great Zeke of Africa was an amazing leader that impacted not just Nigeria, but many other countries. He was a big Pan-Africanist. What I would tell you is this. So in America, we don't deal with a lot of Igbophobia. Igbo people are loved just like Yoruba people are loved, Edo State people. I mean, there's a lot of love out here for Nigerians of all different ethnicities in America. In Nigeria, there is major problems. Don't disagree. But I'll be real with you to tell you this is where it's going to start. It's going to start with our leadership. You have 5 Igbo governors of the 5 predominant Igbo states, right? Anambra, Abia, Imo, Ebonyi, and Enugu, right? The governors have to start as leaders. The senators that represent the different senatorial districts in Igbo states have to lead by example, have to fight. Unfortunately, in my humble opinion, there's only one major governor that's doing great work for Igbos in Nigeria right now. That's Governor Alex Oti. I follow what he does in America. I'm watching it. I'm so impressed by it. I support him 100%. But he's the only governor that's really showing me that he's doing the work at scale. The other governor is doing some projects here and there, but he is truly in the trenches with the people. He's on the ground serving and helping make his states, Abia State, a better state. Aba, Umuahia, all these different cities, that big commercial cities in Abia State, are transforming under his watch. Before we can really ask for anything, you got to start at home first. Like, your leadership has to do something, and who can shape the leadership is the people. If the people of Imo State or Anambra State or Enugu State or whatever state, Ebonyi State, do not like what's happening, they have to either go and run or vote out or remove the people that are in office that are doing them wrong. Far too often, I think Igbos, we're blaming this figure or that figure for this misfortune when it's our own leaders that are screwing us, just to be 100% frank with you. So before we can really ask for something on the other side, and the topic of self-determination, I'll leave it over to the people that live in Nigeria to decide how they want to move on that issue. You got to start by demanding more of your leadership and then voting out the people that are making your life bad. So that's my opinion on that, Mr. Chris.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. Before we go to Femi, let me use this opportunity to announce that next Sunday on 90 Minutes Africa, we are going to have Dr. Festus Okore, who is the chairman of the World Igbo Congress. He's coming on this show to talk about, that's more like the person you should channel that question to talk about everything Igbo and the World Igbo Congress and what they are doing. So for those who are interested, tune in tomorrow, on Sunday next week for this episode of 90 Minutes Africa. All right. Femi, you're next.
Hi, Junior.
Hi, Femi. How you doing?
My councilman. I'm proud to say I'm a resident of your the county you represents. I remember when your posters were flying around just about the end of COVID or thereabout.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, because I'm like, this guy is extremely young. And that's impressive. The fact that we're Nigerian. And as a matter of fact, I'm glad about the way you answered the question to Mr. Chris. And I mean no disrespect in what I'm about to say. I did not think about you as being Igbo or anything. I never think that way. My best friend is Igbo. He's Igbo. His godson is his son is my godson. I'm proud to say that any day. I just wanted to I try to put this out as often as I can, because that's just the way I roll. That said, my question is and you're the only reason why I came, because I was on as you can see, again, just to highlight one fact, the Nigerians are doing great things. I'm on the DevOps security stuff right now. Mixture of Nigerians, even we have some Ghanaians and Cameroonians. Nigerians are amazing people. I mean, it's just unfortunate what we have, and hopefully we can translate it into what the Indians are be able to do to their country. Now, my question again is, with what's going on with the Texas Democrats that had to flee all around and ended up in California, having to come back. What's your opinion about American democracy, the way it is and the way it's going, and what do you think can be done to salvage it? Because the way it's going, for me, it just, personal opinion, it feels like the unveiling of the truth of what democracy actually looks like and versus what we're told it is. Where do you think we're going with all this redistricting, and what do you think might become of American democracy versus what's been exported to the rest of the world? Because remember, the likes of Nigeria and co are watching. There was already impunity before now. What do you think is going to happen? Because Dr. Damages always likes to connect whatever is happening in the rest of the world with what happens in Africa, for example, and Nigeria especially.
Yeah, great question. And thank you, Mr. Femi. I appreciate you and thank you for your support. Let's talk about redistricting. So in America, normally we do redistricting following the census that's done every 10 years. So redistricting is supposed to take place in 2031 following the 2030 census. What the Republicans are doing is something that is against a norm, but it's not illegal. It's against the norm and the way that we normally process things. They're doing a mid-decade redistricting game to redraw the lines to make it easier for Republicans to hold the majority in 2026 when they run for re-election. That's their goal right now. Is it wrong? It's wrong, but it's not illegal. Can they gerrymander? Yes, only if it's partisan gerrymandering. Partisan gerrymandering is legal. What is illegal is racially gerrymandering. But here's the problem. You can't really delineate between racial gerrymandering and partisan gerrymandering, because partisan gerrymandering, 80% to 90% of Black voters in America vote Democrat. About 70% of Hispanics vote Democrat. So if you start to play around with these partisan numbers, you're really disenfranchising Black and Hispanic voters and making it harder for them to elect a candidate of their choice. And that's what the Republicans are doing currently. But the Supreme Court is dominated by Republicans, so more than likely the lines will stay unless they're too egregious. My views on American democracy right now is a very unfortunate time. We're seeing Donald Trump amass a lot of power and do a lot of unethical behavior, and some behavior teeters on illegal behavior. The only way we can stop what he's doing is to vote out his majority next year in 2026. I'm very optimistic about this country. I think America is the greatest country on earth, but I do believe there's a lot of problems in this country. And right now, I think what Trump did, Trump revealed what America really can be and what America really is behind the scenes on certain issues. Like he's just naked with it. He just lets you see the corruption. He lets you see the mismanagement of government, and that leadership is not always the most brightest people. Growing up, we're told that the people that become president or become a senator are the most intelligent masterminds in politics and understand what it takes to serve. And as a city council member and working in politics for 4 years now, I can tell you half of the people that run for office should not be in office. Half of the people that run for any of these positions should not be there. They're not well suited more than any of us that are on this call. But I think next year in those elections, whether it's for governor, it's for senator, it's for state representative, it's for Congress, we have to vote. We have to vote. We have to vote. Our vote is what can save us. It's our vote. Our vote can slow down all the insanity that's going on in this country. It's our vote. And I tell people, if you believe that your vote did not matter, the conservative party, the Republican Party would not be making it harder to vote. They would not be adding all these additional stipulations and rules and roadblocks and removing. In my area in Tarrant County, where I live in Grand Prairie, but I'm on Tarrant County side of Grand Prairie. The Republicans continue to reduce the amount of polling locations to make it where people have longer lines to vote in early voting and on election day. That's not a democratic ideal. That's anti-democratic. In a democracy, you should make it easier for people to vote, give them more opportunities to vote. So, Mr. Femi, I understand where you're coming from. I do think that better days are ahead, but they're not possible if we just sit on our hands. We have to vote. We have to run good candidates for office, and we have to knock on doors to support those candidates and raise them money.
All right, Femi, thank you so much. One question from the comment section. We take another break. When we come back, we round up the conversation. This question says, do you think at any point in time in your lifetime that you might run for office in Nigeria?
Probably not. I love the nation of Nigeria. I'm a proud Nigerian American. I was raised here in America. This is the politics that I understand. The Nigerian politics, I don't comprehend it 100% yet. So I will probably remain focused on this country, but I will support good candidates that are running in Nigeria. People like Peter Obi, Alex Oti. There was a guy that ran for governor of Lagos last year or 2 years ago. I think he was pretty good. And there's other people that are running across the state and, for different offices, different elections. So I'll be happy to support people in Nigeria. But I don't think I'm suited to run for office in Nigeria just because my experience is in this country. And this is the place that I grew up and I understand.
All right. Like I said, we take a break. When we come back, we round up the conversation with Councilman Ezeonu. Thank you for watching, and we'll be right back.
Onye ọma zoro obi o, akwa nwa zoro obi o, Max ịbịa bunyego kwanu m n'ofube n'azụ ụlaga n'ịbịa zigo, mmanwụ ụlaga do n'ịbịa zigo, akwa nwa ilochi o, biko rapụ zoro ka ọ nabazi ya. Onye ọma zoro biko, abọmma nwatara ndasari, ịbịa wunye n'ịgwa na mụ ụlaga n'ịbịa zigo, mma ụlaga n'ịbịa zigo, abọmma nwe ilochila, biko rapụ zoro ọ na-abazi ya. Mazi wekoma odogu na kwere zinaka, onye ọma niga dele mo, mazi ni bazi ibu go with melody. Odogu na chala noka, ezi nwanne m lega dele mo, olaga do n'ịbịa zigo noe, mma olaga do n'ịbịa zigo, amama nwe ilochilo, biko rapụ zoro ọ nabazi te onye ọma zoro do. Sorry, if I were to go on a move, Olaga, don't need Piazugo, Nazaboy, Molaga, don't need Piazugo, Amama Wilo Chilo, Biko Rapuzero, Anavazi, Ice. A dog can never be kitchen for. Ama kwa mnika kugodia, waligwe kwelo ikeja mabele bege. Hey, you won! Eku kampune kene, amaga ninso. Chukwu negaji, esi nwanne m ekene dị, ịlapụ ife niile na-eme wee bịa, ka gosili na anyị na gị bụ nwanne wisdom ga-adị. Ka nye gị maịkị ka ogobanya bụ egwu, esili mmaksi ọ bụ na-etiri egwu a, malụkwa malụ n'imego m ife ọjọọ. Wesi gị nwanne m ife ọkụ na-echọlụ na ngeme, wisdom onume ekene gị, gbamanwụ iyo biko lapụ onye duru joy na bugwu Hausa Sokoto ujembe enwilo anụ solo nwe ma n'ọfịa na-ara onye
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're having the concluding part of our conversation with Councilman Ezeonu from Texas. All right, so let me ask you this. No, hold on over here. I know you've addressed this issue in the past, but I want to get your take on this. People who are saying that the issue with African Americans is that Africans, most Africans, like they continue to go online to insult them in terms of the things they write about African Americans. That's part of the reason why we have this increase in hostility. It sounded like the same thing as what we see in Africa, where you see people take issues with Nigerians. The Nigerians are insulting them, other African countries. When you talk about the issue in Kenya and South Africa, and also if you look at, if you go down to inside Nigeria, you find some people say, oh, the reason why there are conflicts is it appears as if social media has something to do with this tension within different groups, especially with Africans and Black African Americans. Have you noticed anything like that? And there is this push by different people, like people will say something like, tell the Nigerians to behave well, tell the Igbo people to behave well, tell the Africans to behave well. Who will tell the Africans? Do you think it's something about understanding each other, lack of understanding of history, or is it more than that?
Very good question. I'm going to look at it in several different phases. So I think when the first waves of Nigerians came to America, for example, they were welcome. Well, this is the thing. There's ignorance on both sides. When the first waves of Nigerians were coming here in the 60s, 70s, and 80s to go to school, there were some African Americans, Black Americans that lived here that welcomed them. There were some that were kind of apprehensive. Same way, some of the Nigerians that came in, some were very excited to meet with their African American brothers, and some were apprehensive. And the reason that I say this is we have been taught by the media, both television media, press media, to be fearful of each other. Why? Look at how African Americans are portrayed in the media, usually portrayed in very negative lights, very, very negative connotations. But the African Americans that are excelling in America, doing really good work, that have made America what it is, you never hear about that, especially for an African immigrant that's moving here. Same way, many of the Black Americans that were, that are descendants of slaves or FBAs, they would only see the very poor parts of Africa and the issues with Africa, the governmental corruption, and never hear about the good people. So from a very early period, we're being informed of the negatives of both sides and not what the positives are, and not showing the good in our people. That's the first thing. The second thing is, now in the 21st century, social media is a tool that's used to divide us. They hope to divide us. I mean, 100%. Because I say this is, I go into the community here in Grand Prairie or in the DFW, whether someone is African-American, meaning that they're Black American, FBA, or African that immigrated from Africa in the last 40 years or first or second generation American, I have support and love amongst all of them, regardless. So if there was a real issue, I would see it. I would have people come and tell me. It's never been that way. But on social media, I truly believe there are people that are agents that come on there to try to divide us, to try to tear us apart instead of bringing us together, because they know if we're unified and we're united, we can accomplish so much. But if we're divided, we won't accomplish anything. It's a big issue. So that's why I just tell people, hey, extend grace to everyone and have conversations. And when we extend grace and we have conversations, we see we have so much more alike than we have differences. Do African Americans and Africans have differences? Of course, there's going to be differences in culture, but there's so much more that we have unified. Even whenever I wear my traditional clothes to a place, wherever, I'll have my brothers that are Black Americans that are from here. Their family's been here for generations. Like, Junior, can you help me get one of these things made in Nigeria and shipped here? They will come up to me. They'll be like, I love your outfit. How can I get it made? How can I get it shipped here? I'll say, give me your measurements. We'll hire someone in Nigeria. They'll ship it here. Same way on the other side, we love eating American food, African American food. We enjoy African American culture. We are one people. We're together. And we cannot allow social media and people that are hoping to divide us to be effective in their goals and divide us instead of us uniting each other.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's get a few more questions. I'll get from Ovie and then support Diaspora voting. Ovie, go ahead.
Yes, I think you took that question from my head, but our honorable, I would disagree with you, but I also understand that you are a politician, so you have to, be pragmatic about your question, the way you answer your question. One is the redistricting that you talked about. If you yourself put it before us that 40% of Texans are Hispanic, and even in your own community, they are over 40%. And the results, the past electoral results shows that Trump overwhelmingly won those communities, then it's very hard for you to make that case against that city redistricting is because of that along the race. I know you didn't try to point it out directly along that line, but you do allude to that. So I don't think statistics.
No. Let's talk about that. That's a really good question. So you're asking if 40% of Texas is Hispanic and Trump won. Are you saying did Trump win the majority of Hispanic? Like, I want you to restate that question. I want to.
Yeah. In Texas, yeah.
So Trump did not win. Trump did not win the majority of Hispanics in Texas. Trump lost the majority of Hispanics. He won the majority of Hispanic men. But when it came to Hispanics in Texas, Trump did not win the majority of Hispanics in Texas.
Okay, so then my last question is along the Black Foundation of America, or how you put it. I totally disagree with that, because I think we are not helping our case. We're not helping ourselves if we are not actually going down to the history of how all these things started. This Black Foundation of America, they are the descendants of slaves, right? Quote unquote. Mm-hmm. Who are these slaves? These slaves are cousins, nephew, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers of us. Because we are the descendants of those their brothers. So nobody is talking about the trauma that they went through when their family is being yanked away from them, knowing that is just the end. So what I'm trying to say are the roots. Our root is one. So there is no difference between them and us. Yes, we have different experience. So what? So the idea that we should give that foundation recognition is we are doing disservice to our own cause. We are one people. We just happen to be, having a different experience, rather than say, addressing using that term entirely. I mean, as I say, you are a politician, so there's no way you can actually stand against it the way I'm putting it. It might work against you. But the truth is that we are one people. We just like brothers who were separated at birth. That's what it is. So I think we should lay that perspective out there. It should lead the conversation before any other thing at all.
You make a good point. And that's why I stated earlier, when a white man sees us or we get pulled over, they see us as Black people, regardless of how we delineate ourselves within ourselves. I don't disagree with you on that part. But the issue is, with culture, there is shared differences, right? There's going to be differences that have come up over the last 300 to 400 years as a result of slavery, as a result of the people that are now FBA or foundational Black Americans being transported here back in the 17th, 18th, and early 19th centuries. I can't go and tell people that your shared experience, that your lived experience is invalid. I can't do that. But one thing I can do is say, I understand where you're coming from, but we got to work as a collective, because at the end of the day, we all Black. We are all Black, regardless if you're a Haitian American, if you're a Nigerian American, if you're African American or Black American, if you're a Jamaican American. We are all Black Americans in this country. When we leave this country, you can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. But in this country, we are all Black Americans. So that's the way we have to approach it. What you're saying, when we look at the genetics, you were right. Don't disagree. But the issue is the lived experiences of people. You just can't discount it and say that it's not what it is.
All right, thank you, Ovie. Let's go to support diaspora voting revolution. Welcome to the show. Sorry, go ahead. You're muted.
Oh, okay. What you call me revolution? Like me revolution? How?
No. I quickly found out you are not.
No, that is done. That is done. Hello, Junior. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm great. Seeing young chaps like you come into the fore. I hope you're trying to steer the direction of these new lads and new kids on in America calling themselves FBA and Black Americans. I hope you've been able to see ahead of them. Like you rightly said, we are one. Outside our race, they see us as one. They treat us the same. They don't care. And I know, like you said, it's ignorance. And I definitely want to believe that as long as this guy they call George Soros is still alive, don't be surprised he may still be one spearheading the stuff. Because they know that Africa is coming, Black race is coming, so they are doing everything they want to do to make sure we're not one. That's for sure, I know. My question to you here is this. Should be 2 or 3 or thereabout, but I'll start with this one. When it comes to African politics, you understand, and the way African leaders are treating its citizens, do you believe or don't you feel that the American involvement, you understand, to make America where it is and make Africa where it is today solely depends on how America wants Africa to be like? That's where we are today. Because I would say, judging by probably since I don't know how old are you in politics, but let me go back to this the last election, not this one, the previous one that brought in Muhammadu Buhari, while he was contesting with Goodluck Jonathan, we saw John Kerry flowing in and out of Nigeria or Abuja all the time, holding meeting with Buhari, thinking that probably maybe America has the good interest of Nigerians' interest. But we now discover that after Buhari entered, Buhari was even worse, terrible than the rest. So is it what America really wants Nigeria to be like being involved in Africans election, presidency? They make sure that we are always like this, why America is, like you said, the greatest country in America, not wanting Africa to also be the greatest continent in the world. You understand? Don't you think that's what America stands for? Instead of trying to pretend like that the greatest, meanwhile behind they know what they do to keep Africa where they are.
Yeah, so I think you bring up a good point. This is what I would tell you, because I've been in politics for 4 years. I'm not as experienced as you probably are compared to me, but I'm learning, and I'm learning quickly. This is what I would say. America has interests, and throughout human history, throughout the last 70 years, America's went and removed people from power, has led to assassinations of leaders in West Africa, in Africa, and across the country, in South America, in other countries in Asia. America has done a lot of bad stuff, 100%. I can't come and tell you that America did not try to push for Buhari to get in there, hoping that Buhari would align more with their interests than Goodluck Jonathan. I don't know. But I do know that America, just like France, just like the Western European countries, just like China and Russia, all move chips on the table to benefit themselves in these different countries. All of these dominant powers play geopolitics because they're trying to put people in power. It's like what happened with Syria. Syria is a great example. They removed Bashar al-Assad and put in a new leader of Syria who's a former member of Al-Qaeda. He's a former member of Al-Qaeda, but he aligns with the West and does what the West wants him to do. So they're comfortable with him. Same thing with the former Shah of Iran. The Shah of Iran was a Western puppet. So I don't disagree with you. It was an American puppet, actually. I don't disagree with you that America plays those games. I can't speak to the one that's happening in Nigeria in particular because I haven't done enough research to assess that. But I don't disagree that America does put certain people in power that benefit the nation of America at the expense of that specific country. Great example is Venezuela. America is trying to remove whatever his name, the guy that's there right now, and put in a new guy that would give them oil for cheap.
Yeah,
and this was happening over the last 10 years. So what you're saying ain't wrong. You're not wrong.
Even Libya, even Libya.
Yeah. Oh no. Libya is the greatest example. That's exactly what happened in Libya. You're 100% right. Don't disagree.
That's why I'll tell everybody Obama has never been the greatest president in America. He was, for me, was the worst president according to Black race as I am. So that's for me anyway.
I wouldn't agree that Obama was the worst. I think Obama was a good president, but I think Obama did make several mistakes. And we'll have to have a more robust conversations to speak about that. But I think Obama was a good president.
Oh,
All right.
no problem.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Support the diaspora voting. Let's go to Kene, and that will be the last. Kene, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Damages. And no, Junior, thank you, man.
You don't start again, though. Speak English.
He's not your brother.
You see,
I'm everybody's brother.
Stop that. Now you can see my beef.
So I have one question, and the second one isn't actually a question, just a comment, or maybe a correction, right? My first question is, going by what we experience in Nigeria, especially the Igbos, resident in Lagos State, that whenever it is time for election, some tribal bigots in Lagos State will remind them to go back to their state or go back to their region to vote, that Lagos belongs to the Yorubas. You as a Igbo American, have you ever had such an experience where maybe the Hispanics or the white Americans or the black Americans will walk up to you and say, hey, you know what? This country is ours. Go back to your country and participate in an election. Have you ever had such an experience? Just a question.
Yeah, so for me, when I first ran for city council in 2021, I had many white Americans. So let me break down Grand Prairie to make this make a little bit sense. Back in 2021, when I was running, there was 7 white Americans on the city council, 2 Hispanics. Grand Prairie is a city that was 25% African American, but had not elected African American since the 1990s. So while I was running, I dealt with, first time in my life, real racism in my face, like in my face racism. I had voters telling me to go back to Africa. I had like very conservative, very extreme, like extremist conservative voters tell me to go back to Africa, that my last name, they can't pronounce it, so they don't want to vote for someone with a last name like that. It's crazy. They told me I was going to defund the police, that Grand Prairie would be full of drugs if someone like me got elected, that crime would go through the roof if I got elected, that I had no place to play in this politics. I had a voter, had a lady. I knocked on her door and I was talking to her and she said, Junior, thank you for coming, but I can't vote for you. I said, no problem. She said, I can't vote for you. And it's not because you're black. Oh, she told me this. I said, okay. She said, Junior, I have black friends. It's not because you're black. I told her, ma'am, I never brought up me being black. I don't know where me being black came into this conversation. But she said, I can't vote for you. And it's not because you're black. It's because I can't vote for someone that looks like somebody like you. I was so surprised by that statement. And then to make it worse, I had another lady come up to me at the polling station where I'm holding my sign, the signs that I have up here, vote for Junior or whatever. She told me, we don't need that shit here in Grand Prairie. We're fine. She walked up to me. She said, we don't need that shit here in Grand Prairie. We're fine. And then she went on to post a picture of me on social media saying that I was going to destroy the city. And on the election day of the runoff, I had a voter come up to my volunteers. Thank God I wasn't there. Came up to my volunteers and told my volunteers, if Junior, to let Junior know that if he F's up, he said the F word, if he F's up, I will permanently cancel him. And then he took his finger and did this across his neck while he was saying this. And this guy had, real privilege in what he was saying, that he went on social media and made a post saying this. So what I did is I grabbed this great tool, I screenshotted it, I sent it to the police chief, and they went and paid him a visit that same day after the election.
This happened in a country where you have a working system where the police can actually arrest someone for threatening another. Unfortunately, we don't have such in Nigeria. And just bear in mind that even in America, we have tribal, we have bigot, racist, right? And we have mentally, deficient people. Now, the second one isn't a question, just maybe a correction, right? In your previous statement, you alluded that that the Africans in America should be appreciative, maybe not necessarily word to word, but you say something like that, appreciative of the effort of Black Americans, that it was because of maybe their sacrifice that Africans were able to come to America. And I disagree with that. I disagree because Black Americans, just as my brother here, Ovie, stated, They did not participate in my effort to come into America. The same experience they had, we have same experience. They were our brothers. They were kidnapped. We did not sell our brothers. We never sold them to anybody. They were kidnapped and they were lied to. Their descendants were lied to that they were sold. No, there was no money there. We did not exchange them for anything. So they were kidnapped, brought to America. We were traumatized. And when we grew up, we now began to hear the story that our brothers were kidnapped and brought them to America. Then we're eager now to go and see our brothers. With love and happiness, we now came to see our brothers, only to be met with hatred or rejection. Now, our brothers rejected us. But when we came in, we now find out the truth that actually when they were brought up here, when they were brought in here, firstly, that is this political party called Republicans. Majority were Republicans and few from Liberty Party. And they were mostly white people that actually ended the slavery. They kicked against it and say, you know what? This is inhumanity to human. We have to end it. And they ended it. We have other countries where there were slavery activities, like in the UK. The UK's government stopped slavery. And nobody will come to UK today and say, oh, we should be appreciative of the blacks in the UK for ending slavery and making sure that other blacks come to the UK. No, it is the government as things evolve and some things need to be changed. We have other Western countries where there were slavery activities and it was ended. And nobody should be eulogized or for ending it, right? Or making way for other blacks. So they should first and foremost know that they are our brothers. We really feel bad for their condition and their experience. We don't hate them. They are our brothers, and they should not be priding themselves of making ways for us. They did not make any way for us. Our effort brought us here. Some of us came in search of our brothers, and we found ourselves here, only to be met. See, personally, I've never. Let me put it this way: I've never met any white person that tried to play that racist card on me. Personally, I've never. But have I met a black person that just hated me for no reason? Yes.
All right.
So, and I don't take it upon themselves, and I wouldn't generalize it and say, oh, black Americans hate Africans. No, I know that this is a personal problem. Some people, they have mental problems, they need to be checked. Some people, they are just raised that way to hate another. But I don't think anybody should be applauded for making ways for Africans to come here. No.
All right. Thank you, Kenneth.
I would like to respond to.
Yeah, go ahead, Junior.
No, again, thank you for your statement. I appreciate it. So I wanted to make sure I hit on every point you spoke about. So I wrote it down. The reason that I say that us as African immigrants should thank Black Americans is this is why. If the Voting Rights Act, if the Civil Rights Act, if the laws that were passed that banned segregation and forced desegregation, that forced us to integrate with white Americans, if it wasn't for people like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Ruby Bridges, all of these people that came before any of us came to this great country, if they did not sacrifice their lives and did their efforts and were killed, many of them were killed, assassinated. John Lewis, who was hurt very bad on the Selma Bridge, if not for their efforts, we may have still immigrated. Actually, no. Let me tell you why we wouldn't have immigrated. Let me tell you why. Because not only was the 1964 Civil Rights Act passed, Voting Rights Act passed in 65, there was immigration laws that were passed by Lyndon B. Johnson, one of the greatest presidents, in my opinion, LBJ, even though he was a racist to an extent. LBJ passed immigration laws that opened up immigration to Africans. Because initially, the immigration cap was very low on people that came from Africa and Asia. It was wide open for those that came from Western Europe, but for those that came from Africa and Asia, it was very limited. If not for those laws that were passed, because of the pushing of Pan-Africanists and leaders in this country that were Black Americans, my brother, we may have come, but it would have been a very few amount of us, and we would have really dealt with racism. You and I have not dealt with the racism that they dealt with 70, 80 years ago. You and I, when we got here, No, but that's what I'm saying. It's through their efforts. So you don't have to thank them. You don't have to thank them. I will thank them, because if not for their efforts, my brother, I would not be a city council member. I wouldn't have went to a good public education, good public school, and gotten a good degree and be able to do the work that I'm doing right now. It wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't be feasible. So you don't have to thank them, but I will thank them. I'd ask you to just give them their credit, because if not for them fighting in this country, none of us could be where we are. Second thing about Africans not selling slaves. There were several slaves that were kidnapped. I don't disagree. But there is historical evidence that different African ethnic groups across the coast of West Africa and then parts of Central Africa that are along the western coast of Africa were selling slaves into slavery. And it wasn't their brothers necessarily. It may be people that were prisoners of war from different battles amongst different tribes and different kingdom groups, right? It's not only their brothers, it's people that were prisoners of war that were to them worthless human beings that they did not mind to exchange for weaponry, which were like guns, rifles, different things back in the day, or even cooking materials for things like food, gold and other mineral resources. People were sold into slavery, maybe not 100%, but people were sold into slavery. And the final thing is dealing with how the Republican Party, like I've seen some comments about this, Republican Party did end slavery, 100% correct. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, and the Republicans up until probably I'll tell you what happened. In 1960, during the election between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, Martin Luther King Jr. was actually a Republican that supported Nixon, but he was in jail. And Loretta Scott King, his wife, called Nixon and said, "Nixon, please get Martin Luther King out of jail. He's in jail right now. He's been arrested again for protesting." And Nixon said he can't do nothing about that right now. So then Loretta called John F. Kennedy, but RFK, his brother, picked up, Robert F. Kennedy picked up the phone. And she said, "Can you get my husband out of jail?" And RFK said, "Let me see what I can do." He called JFK. RFK pushed JFK to get MLK out of jail. JFK made the call to the jail, got good Lord. John F. Kennedy called the jail, got Martin Luther King Jr. out of prison. And as a result, MLK endorsed John F. Kennedy. And from that year on, Black voters started voting Democratic, because the Democratic Party helped get Martin Luther King Jr. out of jail. As a result, the 1964 election happened. LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, passed the Civil Rights Act, subsequently passed the Voting Rights Act in 65. And the Republicans in 1964 ran someone named Barry Goldwater, who was a senator from Arizona, very racist guy, who said segregation today, segregation yesterday, and segregation tomorrow. He said segregation forever. I don't want to ever have Black people and white people go to the same schools, drink from the same water fountains. And that's when we saw the Republicans in subsequent elections run something that was called the Southern Strategy. 1968, Richard Nixon ran the Southern Strategy, which was appealing to white conservative voters in the South and telling them, leave the Democratic Party. They don't care about you anymore. They only care about the Blacks. And they would call us the N-words back then, back in the 60s and early 70s. And as a result, all the Southern states like Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, that were once strong Democratic states, started voting Republican, because the Republican Party was appealing to the conservative racists in those states.
So basically, the Blacks were played by the Democrats, because if not for the Republicans, the Blacks maybe would still be slaves today. But the Republicans freed them, and then the same Democrats went behind and started kind of lowering them to them, pretending to be nice that the Republicans that actually freed them.
Can I thank you?
And then, Mr. Okongwu, 1 second. Kenneth, this is what I'll tell you. Political parties change every year, every day. They realign all the time. The Republicans in the 1860s were called the Radical Republicans. Why were they called the Radical Republicans? Because they were liberals. Who were the conservatives in the 1860s? Excuse me. It was the Democrats that were the conservatives. In the 1960s, who became the liberals? The Democratic Party. The Republican Party became the Conservative Party. And this is why in 2025, we're seeing the same things. Who is the Conservative Party? Who is the party that's anti-immigration? It's not the Democratic Party, it's the Republican Party, which is a party that's trying to ban Nigerians from coming here even on visitor visas. It ain't the Democratic Party. My brother, I understand your perspective. Your perspective is valid, but we have to look at things in totality. It's not that one party lures people to their thing. No, it's one party appeals to people through good public policy. That's how we get things. That's how we move forward. It's not through luring or swindling or making people think that you're for them. Show me your policies. I'll show you who you are. And there's only one party right now. And I'm someone that calls out the Democratic Party when they make mistakes, because I don't worship a party. I support politicians that have my interests. So when the Democrats do bad, I'm going to tell you. And when Donald Trump does well, I'm going to tell you as well. But if they make a mistake and do something wrong, we have to hold their feet to the fire. And that's why I like Peter Obi, because Peter Obi stands up for the people. Alex Oti, the governor of Abia, stands up and fights for the people. But if those, and this is controversial, but if those two leaders were in America and were running for office in America, they'd be Democrats. They would not be Republicans.
All right. Thank you, Junior. Let me follow up before forefathers. When was the last time Trump did something very good? You said you would tell us.
Something that Trump did that I actually liked was he passed the First Step Act during his first term as president. It's pretty symbolic, but it's still something that no one else had done at that time. So I appreciated that. In his big, beautiful bill, he has a couple things that are not terrible. The bill is a horrible bill, but he has a couple things like the no taxes on tips is good. The only problem with it is only capped at $25,000, and after 2028 it expires. So once 2028 comes, taxes will be on tips again, and that $25,000 cap is gone. No taxes on Social Security. That's until 2028. Once 2028 comes, it's expired. So those are my problems with that, with the bill. But at least those are two things that help some people. There's a lot of things that he's done wrong. I can state maybe on another call because it'll take too long for us to go through it. But those are a few things. And I could tell you what the Democratic Party's done wrong. I told you about how I felt about Joe Biden on Gaza. I think Joe Biden was terrible on Gaza, and Donald Trump is continuing being Donald Trump is now on the even further right on Gaza. But I'm not beholden to a party. I support a party because they support my interests and the interests of my community. But at the same time, I'm going to call them out when they make mistakes. When Barack Obama made mistakes, I called him out too. I think Barack Obama did not do enough within those first 2 years as him being president, when he had 60 Democrats in the Senate and 260 in the House of Representatives. We should have passed more than just the Affordable Care Act and the bailouts for the auto industry and for Wall Street. We should have done a lot more because we had the votes for it. And that's the thing about power. Power is limited, and you have a limited amount of time to exercise it and utilize it. While you have that power, do as much good as you can, because you will never have that same opportunity in the future. That's what I try to do as a city council member. This is temporary. I'm not going to be in politics forever. I would love to be in politics forever, but I can't. But while I'm here, I got to spend as much time as I can to make the lives of my constituents better. Because eventually I'm going to be gone and someone else will take my seat and someone else will serve, and hopefully they'll serve better than me. But while I'm here, I want to do as much good as I can.
Wow, thank you so much. And one final question from Forefathers. Forefathers, you take it up.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Rudolph, and greetings to all the panelists, the chat, and the viewers, and special greetings to he calling himself Junior. I don't know what your title is Ezeonu. I really appreciate you coming in, and I must say I have to acknowledge the in-depth knowledge of what has happened in America. It's not very often you see Nigerians bothering to know about the history of what has happened there. My question is regarding, I will touch on the issue of Africans leveraging the presence of Africans in America technically. Are there paths to doing that? Because when I watch African leaders go to the UN every year, they don't seem to have any connection to almost 50 million Black people in that country. They don't meet them, they don't discuss anything, and they go back home, and you know the results we have on the ground in Africa. So are there paths to ensuring that these there is connection between both sides that can leverage the advantage both sides have, because I believe that African Americans have a lot to gain from leveraging Africa. The same thing Africans have to gain from leveraging America. So I just wanted you to touch on that to see, okay, are there parts to doing this? And if you can touch on that, because right now, when I look at the American space, there is no direction. There is no leadership. Maybe if there is a leadership, maybe it's Obama, but Obama is like a leader, absentee leader that doesn't do anything. He's just waiting for Trump to make a big mistake. Then he comes and writes a tweet and say Trump is rubbish. So there's no direction for the Black people as it stands. So are there paths to doing that? And then maybe if I'm given enough time, I will talk about Democrats too.
No, definitely. Good question. I think you made a good point. There's a vacuum when it comes to Black leadership in America, or like a centralized leader that can connect us with our people here in America, but also the African subcontinent, the African continent as a whole. The UN will bring out African leaders. They'll speak, they'll attend a few receptions, they'll have conversations, but it's not enough. There's something that we have every year that could be a catalyst to helping us, one, expand the conversations, but actually have tools to where we connect with the African continent and African Americans in this country. And it's called the Congressional Black Caucus Annual Legislative Conference. Every year, this conference takes place in Washington, D.C. I've went for the last 3 years. I'll be going again this year. It's going to be in September, end of September in Washington, D.C., where there's several panels. There's leaders from all over the place, elected officials. There's people that aren't even politicians, but people in healthcare, Black folks in healthcare, in law, in engineering, in tech, in social services, so many different fields, so many different places. That could be somewhere that we begin this project. I don't know who's going to spearhead it. I'd love to be a supporter and a leader in it, but I'm just a city council member right now. Maybe one day, if I'm the governor of a state or something, by God's grace, or a senator, they might give me more power in that sense. But there are areas where we can channel this idea. There's a guy, his name is Akinyemi Akindele. He lives in Michigan, supported me when I first ran for city council, and he's a big guy in Michigan. He founded something called GABA, the Global African Business Alliance, where they have, his main thing is trade. Trade is his biggest thing because he knows there's so many opportunities in the African continent, regardless of Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa. There's so many opportunities, but we're not connected and we don't know what exists. So through his initiative, and even they have several buildings in his city in the Detroit metro area in Michigan, where they're helping bring different business leaders together, different partners in Africa to come here, in the African continent to come here and formulate ideas, but then also create systems where they can expand trade between Africa and America as well, in the US, because there's so many opportunities. So I think those are the two things, the GABA lane, and also what we can do at the Congressional Black Caucus Conference every year.
Thank you. Please, if I can, just one more. You see, I'm glad you thought the way you responded to it, and clearly, if it's going to happen, it's not started yet, and which is surprising after we've been traveling there for 70 years at least since independence. And now you also brought me to the Democrats, which is the Black Caucus. It tells you something. This is the criticism Kene was trying to make. These Democrats gather every year, Black people. They watch the Black continent every year. None of them bother to say, you know what, let's meet these Black leaders. Let's see what we can do together here. Because after all, we have a lot to gain from it too. So, and those are Democrats. And what I'm trying to express here is that if this organization should do anything, it should be it should be non-partisan. Because Democrats are Republicans. Personally, it's about interest. If they are not, if any of them is not doing what we want, we shouldn't have to support any of them. And we seem to be captured by Democrats now. And those Democratic caucus, which I find very disturbing. Even African Americans have issues with them because they don't seem to be doing anything for their people. They are not doing anything for the continent. If you look at APAC, it punches well above its weight. Well above its weight. And we have 50 million in that country and 1.3 billion on the continent. and that organization is not leveraging what they are supposed to be doing. To an extent, it's almost as if they are acting as gatekeepers. They are preventing it instead of actually enabling it. Because how is it that they have not been able to do this all this while? Obama is still there too. I understand you like Obama. He does a lot of good things. He really gave people
is the worst president.
No, I'm not gonna call him the worst president. You know, Obama opened a psychological gate in the minds of a lot of people around the world that believe that for once they saw a black man being able to control the most powerful country in the world. That's a big thing. He accomplished that. However, everything else that's happened since then, we've just been standing still. It's almost as if we've been hypnotized. And that brings me to the question: do we need to start changing our strategy from the point of view of not looking at Democrats as our home, but as a place where we gain our own interest? Because right now, supporting Democrats is not doing that for us. I don't even want to go into the Planned Parenthood, the drugs, and misalignment of our family structures. But in terms of strategically, the black people all over the world, the Democrats represent a clutch of some of the most elite black people in the world with proximity to power. But they don't seem to have leveraged it at all. So is there anything that can be done to change that? Because that is a big problem that we are facing.
Yes, and sir, I'll answer this question quickly. You're 100% right. The Democratic Party, my party, hasn't done anywhere near enough since the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act. They've been chilling. They've been having a good time collecting the votes and not providing much. Don't disagree with you. Here's the problem. Why is AIPAC so powerful? I'll tell you why AIPAC is so powerful. It's because of money. AIPAC raises hundreds of millions of dollars every single year, and they use that money to threaten politicians. So they come to a politician and say, okay, you're going to support us on our Israel policies. And if you choose not to, we're going to fund your opponent $10 million or $15 million. And you can raise 2, 3, 4, 5 million if you want, 10 million if you want. We'll raise another 20. And we'll make sure that you never see a congressional office building ever again. That this seat you have as a congressman is gone. So what do these politicians do? They look to their right, they look to their left, they say, okay, if I support AIPAC and do what they tell me to do, I'm going to keep my seat. If I don't support AIPAC, I'm going to lose my seat. This is why 90% of politicians don't do anything that goes against the goals of Israel. They do whatever Israel says because of the money that AIPAC has. Black Americans and Africans that live in America, one, don't donate much money to politicians. They don't raise money as a collective organization. So when it's time for them to run, they look at black people as like, this is my turnout audience. This is not my persuasion audience. I don't got to convince them to vote for me. I just got to tell them to come out and vote. They're going to vote. They don't have a choice. That's how the average politician looks. The average Democratic politician looks at black people. They look at Hispanics as as a persuasion audience, because Hispanics do vote for different parties sometimes. But black voters, we know you're going to vote for the Democrat. And if I'm a black person, you're going to vote for me 9 times out of 10. But if the black man or black woman or black organizations came and said, okay, look, we're going to support you. We're going to put $1 million behind you, or $2 million behind you, or $500,000 behind you if you support the goals of our community and you vote the right way. But should you vote against our community and vote the wrong way, or don't even fight for our community, we're going to find some random guy in that district. We're going to give him $2 million to run for Congress, or $3 million to run for Congress, and we're going to beat you. And the way that you do this is you start slow. You just pick 2 or 3 people across the country. You win a couple races in 2026. You come back in 2028, you pick 5 or 7 people. You win a couple races, you win 5 or 6 seats across the United States. Then next year, you pick 10 or 15. And I'm a Democrat, but if you wanted to do this system, you can do both sides. You pick 10 or 15. And then some of them that you'll support don't have to be black. They can be white. They can be Hispanic. They can be Asian, whatever. But they got to support the interests of your people. And now these black politicians, these Democratic politicians that at one point took you for granted, are going to look to their left. They're going to look to their right. They're going to say, hey, what do I got to do to support you so you can support my campaign? I don't want to lose my seat. You guys y'all are no longer just a voting constituency. you're a powerful block in the American democratic system because you can raise $2 million to remove me from my seat. That's how you do it. It's unfortunately it's through the financial.
Let me touch on something because that is a very interesting point about the finance here. I worry that there is more to this than finance because Saudi Arabia has tons of money. What is going on in the Arab world wouldn't be happening if it's all about money alone. What Saudi Arabia doesn't have is the cutthroat that Israel does. And maybe that is something we are missing here. We just think it's only about money. It's about brotherhood. It's about knowing your interests and fighting for it. Because China has more money than Israel, but yet they don't have influence in America. Saudi Arabia, Arab countries, Qatar, all of them, they have a ton of money. But what they don't have is that ability to fight and own politicians. And what those Israelis have done, that's what they've done. And that's what goes beyond money. It's not just about, if it was just money, I think Saudi Arabia will be ruling America or maybe China. Don't you think? Maybe that is where we are calculating it wrong.
Do you think, just being honest with you, do you think that Saudi Arabia does not command significant respect in the American government right now?
The command significant respect in terms of maintaining their power, not telling America what to do.
Let me show you how they do tell us what to do. The Crown Prince killed the journalist that lived in America, Khashoggi, back in 2017, 2018. Trump didn't do anything about it. Trump said, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Biden ran and said that if he comes in, he's going to try to prosecute the Crown Prince. Biden came in and gave the Crown Prince a fist bump in public. Didn't do a thing. Because Saudi Arabia controls what? Oil. And America respects what? Oil and money. When we look at the Crown Prince, whatever you want, you got it. That's how we play politics. Same thing with Qatar. Qatar right now is the ones that enable Hamas in Palestine. Israel never has a problem with Qatar because Qatar got a lot of money. Qatar calls the shots across the entire Middle East now. It's Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. Those are the three most powerful countries in the Middle East, right? Or Qatar. Let's pronounce it as Qatar. Money, America respects money. Like this country, we respect those that have money. The difference with Israel, the difference with Israel, and I'll end it very quickly. The difference with Israel is that Israel is the only country that's allowed to lobby American politicians and not register as foreign agents. That's the only difference.
That is a very key point.
They're the only foreign lobby. And JFK back in the 60s tried to change this. And then after he tried to change it, he was killed a few months later. But it's
so
crazy
the Khashoggi example is one in almost 60, 70 years. While Israelis have been killing Americans, they even killed 2 Americans in the last 2 weeks alone. They are killing them regularly and nothing happens to them. We are talking about a different level of influence here.
Why is Israel the only country that's allowed to lobby American politicians?
Because of that cutthroat aspect that I'm referring to. That is what we are not seeing. We think it's only about money, but it's Ovie is losing it there. If you want to say something, please go ahead.
Wait. No. This is what I wanted to say. Junior, do you want to stay a little bit more? I can take a break. We'll come back and then, but it's a time. I want to know.
We can do 18 minutes more. I have to hop off at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Okay,
we can do. This is a good conversation.
I like it. I like that it's coming from you because there are some conversations we do have here. Sometimes people without the background you have will be saying things that are needed explanation, which they are doing very well. All right. Okay. Let's continue.
Thank you, Honorable, Your Excellency. Tunaja is not listening. Junior used a word that you are not paying attention to. Now, why is it that Israel is the only country that is allowed? That's the word, allowed. But most importantly, you have to study the interests of this individual country in the Arab nation. What is their interest? Well, it doesn't baffle you that the way the Saudi Arabia, for instance, they are living their life with all the oppression about women and everything, nobody's answering about. Their interest is more important than every other thing that is going on in that region. So that's what matters here. That's what the junior is trying to stress. Money is very important, but how you are allowed, because we live in an organized society, how you are allowed. to use that money is what important. It's what is important. So it is not about, so you keep paying attention to what he's saying, but the interest behind it, just the silent words that you are not paying attention to Nigeria. So there's more to it. Yes, you might have money, but if they don't allow you to use it, what goes you? So it's bigger than the overall picture of the region. What is their interest like? And that of America is telling you, you have to understand the position of Black people in the world. We are not rated in the ladder. If you put a chart of this of the world, Black people are not visible. So
Why?
the American in the Black in America is not different. Exactly.
That is my point. We are not cutthroat. We are not fighting. We are not doing
hold on, guys.
the work behind the scenes.
Hold on. You say why? Because you are a conquered race.
Okay,
Understand the reality of the conquered first.
Okay. We're going to have an after show, which is when we can do analysis.
Dr. Damages, Ovie will be the guest next week.
But because we have our guest here, I want him to use this small time we have to finish up questions for him. So Junior, I know when you were talking about people were talking about Black people, Black elected officials in America. We forgot that Senator Carol Mosley Brown from Chicago area, Illinois, when she was a senator, she was the first the first Black female, and she had these dealings with Abacha. I think Abacha was leading Nigeria, and there was issue with bribery and things like that. It's not that the elected officials in America, Black officials, they don't have relationship with African leaders. They do. I don't want people to go away with that impression. They do, but sometimes I don't know. I've not talked to any of them, but sometimes it's about their personal interests, or they go against the law, or some people go against them for that relationship. Someone like Louis Farrakhan had relationship with leaders in Africa. Someone like what was this guy from Chicago area too, Jesse Jackson. They all have friends all over Africa, and we forget when we are talking about these things. We forget that during the fight for independence, most African countries benefited from the struggle in Black America for civil rights. So their relationships have been going on for many years. So we shouldn't be talking about this in isolation. So Junior, maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, no.
Can I add to that question?
Are you seriously trying to say that there is coordination
No,
between
wait. Hold on. Let him speak. Then you guys can add to that. Go ahead, Junior.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say, and I'll be brief to allow them to add their points, is that goes back to my earlier statements about the Pan-Africanism, that many things that were happening in America were also being replicated in African countries back in the 60s and 70s during that civil rights era. Even in the 50s, Pan-Africanism has been going on for a long period of time. Right now, we're probably seeing the smallest amount of Pan-Africanism, where African Americans in this country are uniting with Africans in the continental mainland. But in the past, this was something that tied people together. Leaders like Nnamdi Azikiwe, Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana. These were people that were very tied in with Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, civil rights leaders in America. So these bonds and bridges did exist at one point and probably existed in a greater capacity in the 60s, 70s, way before my time. But now they're not as strong right now. And I think that's what Forefathers was talking about. What can we do to build those bridges again and connect those leaders with leaders back home in Africa, in different African countries, and also with the people, and where we can bring each other together. I think that's what his question was.
All right. So,
sorry. I think, Junior, you touched on it earlier on. The reality of today's world, we don't seem to agree that we are all practicing a religion called capitalism, and that religion, God is money. Now, you have to look at how the current world that we live in. How does the world run? The industries, the institution, the corporation that run this world. Narrow it to America, talking about the Congress. Congress is run by corporation. How many of those corporations is controlled by Black people first? Or in America, how many of those corporations are controlled by Black people in America? None. So you don't even have a say. The way we have a natural capacity to actually run things is where we have the natural resources endowed. But guess what? It doesn't even belong to us because we can't protect it. So let's be realistic. That's what money is about. What do you control with the money you have? Is it as important to what make the world go round? If it's not, then you don't have to say you are just existing for a reason that is not even known to you. But those that actually are in charge of those that are in charge of production. So we have to look at it realistically. Forget all this. No, it is pure blank to what? Money, power. Power is the ultimate. How do you get power? Is money. What can your money do? If you all our GDP in Africa is less than what? Maybe less than 2 trillion. That is nothing. That is like United States Ministry of Defense budget. Nobody is going to listen to you. So that's what it is. What do you control? So that's what Junior is trying to say among the black hackers. Say they are black hackers. They are in Washington. Doing what? Nothing. They can't even raise $10 billion. All of them collectively. That's the money one person will bring out within the white community. So it's all boiled down to what you can control in real time, not literally what you believe you possess. So that's why when we keep talking about our own oil as Nigerian, we don't control it. So we have no power. So please, that's what I'm trying to. I could be wrong, Junior. You are in the system. Maybe
no, you are 100% right. You're speaking my language. When you don't have money, you don't have power. It's hard to influence anything, and that's why I hate to say it. These politicians, sorry, I'm reading some of the comments. That's why some of these politicians.
I forgot to tell you that when you are a guest, don't read the comments. But
I'm enjoying the comments. I'm enjoying it. No, they're great. They're great. But no, that's why many of these politicians, unfortunately, they may look like us. But when it's time for them to run for re-election, I'll give you a good example. When it's time for me to run for re-election, there's two major focuses that I have. Who do I contact to win my election when it comes to knocking on doors, making phone calls, doing voter outreach, and who do I contact to raise money? Luckily enough for me, where I live in Grand Prairie, in the DFW area, we have a lot of African-American, Black people, Africans, Nigerians that are doing well, that can afford to give me $100 or $250 donation for my campaign. But many people that are serving in the Congressional Black Caucus, majority of them serve Black majority districts that tend to be poor, where they're not going to raise that much money from their community, right? And even if they are, it's going to be a small amount. They're going to go and call APAC. They're going to go and call these different lobbies. They're going to go and call these pharmaceutical industries and say, hey, I'm running for re-election. I need your support. And the pharmaceutical industry, APAC, all these different lobbies and groups will say, oh, no problem. You've done a great job in your last 2 years as a congressman or your last 6 years as a senator. We're very happy to support you. They won't tell you that you voted for what we needed you to vote for. They just say, you've done a great job. We're very proud of the work you've done. You've done a great job. We're going to support you again. These politicians know what they're doing, but they're looking at it like this. In my community, I can't raise money because my community don't donate money, or they don't have the money to donate. Luckily for us, we do. Where I live in the DFW, we have Black folks that do very well for themselves and can afford to make those contributions. The problem that we also have, we're not organized. It goes back to that point I was making earlier about how we, for when someone dies or whatever in the Nigerian community, we'll form that committee of friends, raise them $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 for a funeral, for the waykeeping, for all these different things. But when it comes to a young Nigerian American running for office, $50, $100 is a conversation. Can you please, I'm over here begging on the phone, can you please donate to my campaign? Can you please support me? And I had a story. Somebody told, my dad is on the chat. I know he's here watching this thing. Somebody told my dad, what is Junior doing?
I saw him. He's there.
Yeah, he said, what is Junior contesting for politics for? He's too young. He should be in school. My dad's like, he's graduating summa cum laude from UTA. What do you mean he should be in school? Like they didn't even believe in me running for office. And that's one problem we have in this community. So when a politician makes it in there, luckily for me, I'm someone that believes in our community, and I'm always here. I'm always taking care of people in our community, regardless of who you are. Others will be like, no, when I was running for office, you guys didn't support me. I'm going to still come to you for the votes, but I'm going to look out for the interest groups that put me in office. And that's the big issue we have in American politics. You got a lot of Black politicians. You have a lot of Democratic politicians that will come and pay you lip service when it's time to vote in 2026 or 2028. But throughout their term in office, they're not going to do nothing for you because they don't view you as a core constituency when it comes to putting them in office. They just view you as people that are going to vote, but not the people that put them there.
Yeah, the point I was making was to build that. When you said when they try to raise money, they are not able to raise the money. Sorry, he's gone away. But in the meantime, let me use the time to address what Dr. Rudolph said. Why you are making it sound as if Africans and African Americans are coordinating. There's no coordination going on. And that kind of statement that you made, that, oh, it's not like they are not talking to each other, it leads to complacency. They are not cooperating. Clearly, look at the state of Africa. Have you seen them meeting? Have you seen Tinubu trying to go and meet African American community leaders or try to converse with them? He goes there, talks to only Nigerians, and comes back to Nigeria. The same thing, the Ghana one goes, talk to Ghana, come back to Nigeria. That is not cooperation, and it's not getting us anywhere. The way you came in and addressed that point, you made it look like they are cooperating. If they are cooperating that we don't know about, you can share it with us, because I don't see it. I don't see it. And the point Ezeonu was making was that when they try to raise money, they have to go and seek money elsewhere. How did those people set that mechanism up? That is what I'm saying. We need to set that mechanism up. How did they do it? We can't keep making excuses that they have it, we don't have it.
All right, thank you for that. We have less than 6
Okay.
minutes. Hold on, nobody else. We have less than 6 minutes. So Junior, answer that, and then I'll give Ija 1 minute for last question, and then that's it.
Fathers, yeah, to your point, I'm right there with you. We have to create that infrastructure. We have to create that infrastructure where we bring people and in our community and get them involved in the political process. That's what I'm doing in my community. That's what I do in Grand Prairie. Nigerian Americans are a core constituency for me, not just when it comes to voting, but when it comes to when I'm calling people on the phone, raising money. I'm building that organization here. And NAPAC, the Nigerian American Public Affairs Committee that I was talking about earlier, they're doing that as well. We just got to grow them, because once we have that system that exists, politicians will answer your phone calls when it comes to issues taking place domestically and back in Nigeria. I'll give you an example. There was a lady in Grand Prairie. This is 3 months after I got elected. 3 months after I got elected. She was a business owner in Grand Prairie. She opened up a hall in the city, and the city would not allow her to extend her hours so she could make money on the weekends. The weekends is when people go to reserve the hall and do parties and do different things, right? And she was having a lot of roadblocks from the city. The lady spent over $100,000 on that facility. The city wouldn't help her out at all. So she came to the council asking us again, please, guys, can you extend my hours? This is 3 months after I first got elected to city council. And I'm listening to her almost begging at this point for us to help her, because she's invested so much, but no one is renting out the facility because it closes at midnight on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And people want to stay until after midnight, normally till 2 a.m. That's the normal thing. I spoke up for her. I don't know this lady. I just know she's a resident of my city and she has a business that that deserves a chance. I spoke up to my city council because they were getting ready to vote it down 8-1. I was going to be the only one that voted for it. I spoke up to my city council. I said, guys, this lady is a Grand Prairie resident. She's a business owner. She's invested in our community. She's poured her blood, sweat, and tears into this community. Give her an opportunity. Asked the lady, I said, will you be willing to have security on the premises 24/7? Will you be willing to come before council in 6 months so we can review this special use permit to see if there's been any criminal activity? Has there been any violence? Has there been any problem with drinking at this facility? She said, Junior, I'm fine. I can do all of that. I said, okay, guys, let's give her an opportunity. Many business owners want to invest in Grand Prairie but are afraid. Let's use her as an example of what you can do in Grand Prairie. We gave her an opportunity. She came back in 6 months. She's now making a lot of money. Nigerian business owner. No crime, no criminal activity on the premises after 6 months. We extended, we said, let's do a 1 year SUP now. Give her a whole year, bring her back in a year. 18 months passes, including the initial 6 months. She comes back to us. No problems, no issues. She's killing it. She's investing into the community. She's donating to charities through the money that she's making at her business. So I said, guys, let's remove this review period for SUP. Give her an indefinite SUP. If there's any problems in the future, then we'll bring her back. It's been 3 years now. Sorry, no, this summer makes it 4 years. It's been 4 years now. No issues with this business owner because she had a voice on the council that would speak up for her. Because she has an accent, very strong accent. But I heard her out as people were getting ready to vote against it. I didn't tell you all this. That vote that passed back in 2021 when she first came to and I was on the council We passed it 8-1. Only one person voted against it because I advocated for her. And in subsequent votes for her for her business to continue, it's been 9-0, no issues, because we gave her a chance. But you had somebody on the council that was willing to speak up and say, give this person a chance. And that's what we lack in politics on all levels in America, because we're not organized. Nigerian Americans are not organized. Black Americans are not organized to have people to raise money and support candidates that will support you, that will support your interests and give you a fair shot, as we'll give other people a fair shot.
Wow.
Thank you for that
so
question.
much. Okay, one last question. We are out of time. 1 minute. Okija, please.
Junior, thank you very much for coming. I don't have any question, actually. I just want to thank him for coming and for educating, a lot of us here, especially the MAGA, people who don't understand the American politics. And I want to say that, because when I came to this country initially, I was like, like African American, they are this, they are this, they are this. Until I went to college, I started taking black, courses, knowing about civil rights and, slavery and all those things. My mind changed. During that time, where I went to UMass, and the Borgia, he was the vice chancellor, the vice chancellor of our university, and his brother was White Borgia, the criminal. And we saw videos where, during the protests for integration, he was there forefront to, stopping, black people from coming to school in South Boston. And you're looking at it, he is the vice chancellor or whatever of the university, and his brother, was that time a criminal. So there's a lot of people, you don't understand all this until you go and learn. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you come back another time.
Yeah, thank you, Okija. Okay. Support the diaspora. They will kill me if you don't speak local.
So
just 1 minute.
Okay, no, actually, yeah, thanks for coming anyway. And I was talking to your dad on the chat session. I mean, he was really proud of you, and I'm also proud of you too. But what I wanted to ask is the issue that's currently going on, like you said, social media is a tool that can be used to divide FBAs and Black Americans. Yeah. What do you think? I know your community kind of small, whatever. I think it's Texas, majorly blacks, and much there. So, what do you think you can do to bridge or to remove this ideology? Like, no, FBA or Black Americans. No, look, this is like it's not. It doesn't exist. It's just somebody trying to play smart on us. What are you willing to do, or what will you do to remove this ideology from both parties to make them see themselves as one?
Yeah, well, thank you for the question. For me, being a Nigerian American, because I'm both, I'm Nigerian and I'm an American citizen, I'm proud of it. I'm very proud. I don't hide it. I don't run away from it. I wear my traditional clothes. I speak Igbo on some videos. I go and I'm very proud of who I am, where I come from. I'm proud of my ancestry. I'm proud of the history of the African Americans in this country that have done so much. So I'm in public. I'm in public about it. I have these conversations with people. I go to the Black churches. I talk to them about these different problems and these different issues. I speak to my brothers and friends that are big in the FBA ADOS communities. And I try to bridge the gap and bring us together and say, hey, I understand how you feel about this issue. I understand how you feel about this problem, but look at it like this. So I'm confronting the African Americans that may feel some way towards Africans. There's a very small amount that feel this way. And same thing with Africans that are immigrants from Africa. I tell them too, I'm like, hey guys, like I was telling y'all earlier about how we should be grateful to the African Americans for what they've done. And I tell both sides, the goal is to divide us. They want to divide us. When they divide us, they conquer us. We're so powerful together. We have amazing numbers, both in this country and on the continents. But if we allow ourselves to be divided by outside agents that are literally making this a goal so they can stop us from progressing, then we lose, and our children lose, our grandchildren lose. So I have these open and honest conversations with everybody that's willing to listen. So that's how I try to bridge the gap in my area. And as I continue to move up the political ladder, I know this will be a question that comes up more and more, and I have no problem discussing it, tackling it head on, and working to bridge the gap. But I'll tell you this, my brother, this issue is a very minor issue in the community, because I'm telling you, when I dress up in my traditional wear, when I speak Igbo or I speak Pidgin to people are like, Black Americans, they're so excited. They're so intrigued by it. They want to understand how do I immerse myself in the culture? How can I get that traditional outfit from Nigeria? What can, like, they love it. Same thing with Africans. Africans love American culture. So I think we're very good. I just think there's people that are trying to divide us, but having those open and honest conversations can help us bridge the gap and get to where we need to go.
All right. Thank you so much, Junior. Next time you come, I promise you I'll play the music where you are dancing, and I will also show you in traditional attire. We are running out of time. Thank you so much, and hopefully you'll come back soon. I think this is a wonderful conversation. A lot of people learned a lot of things from you. Thank you.
Junior, don't let them deceive you.
We see you.
Don't let them deceive you. I wanted to ask him about Kemi Badenoch. How does he feel about Kemi Badenoch in the UK?
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Junior. Thank you. Final words.
Thank you, guys.
Junior, let them respect that name. You are not Junior. You are Honorable Excellency.
All right. We'll be right back after this. right, welcome back, everybody. Oh, Junior, we're done. I
thought you were you wanted me to say a last statement or something.
Oh, okay, do that then. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Damages, Mr. Okonkwo, for the opportunity. This has truly been an honor, and I found it very fun and really enjoyed the conversation. So look forward to coming on in the future. And if anybody wants to connect with me on social media, please just type in my name on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, Junior Ezeonu. On Instagram and Twitter, you can type in @callmejre, or just type in my name, Junior Ezeonu, and you'll see me on there. And just thank you for having me. I think someone wants me to speak Igbo. So Kamsu Obeli Igbo. That's a little bit for you right there. So thank you for having me, and we'll see each other soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice to see you. And very soon we'll bring you back, obviously, very soon. All right. Okay. So thank you, everybody, for hanging in. We have a stream coming up next, which is where we will have a detailed analysis of what happened. KJ is in the studio getting ready for that. In the meantime, let me just address one thing. For forefathers, I think you misunderstood what I was saying. I don't know. I didn't say. I don't know where you came from. Yeah, reaction to that. What I was saying was that, okay, let me give an example. I know that most people don't get to see these leaders when they come to the United Nations General Assembly. So there are several meetings that happen here. They meet each other. The president of all these African countries, they have different interests, political, economic interests, and they meet leaders from America, from all parts of the world, and have conversations. And I'm saying that, especially members of the Congress, the Black members of Congress, they always visit all these African countries. They may not make big news because they don't have executive power, but they do. And they have conversations that are ongoing. I'm not saying that it's the way it should be. That was why I pointed out that in the past, in the 60s, there were more connections in town. I don't know where it broke and what broke, but there were relationships that were going on and still going on. A good example I mentioned is this Chicago senator. I think she lost her seat in the Senate after she was, there was investigation about, I think Abacha gave her money. I'm not totally sure of how it happened now, but there was relationship with Abacha that didn't play well with the American authorities, and she ended up losing that connection, that position too. So they've been that is in place. It's going, but it's not the way it should be. In the 60s, I think what happened was needed the African Americans, the Africans needed the support of African Americans and lessons they learned in fighting the powers in America in their fight for independence in Africa. And that worked well. Remember, Zeke went to school here. There were some people, leaders in African countries who went to school in America. So it was easy for them. And they knew each other. It was easy for them to come together and do that. But it's not happening now. It should happen, So
Dr. Damaji, yes, I think I agree. What two Nigeria is actually pointing at, which you touch on, right? Is yes, they are meeting based on what ground. Any meeting that go against the interests of the Oga Patapata, which is the United States, they will go against you. Assassination, that is what we say what went wrong from the 60s. Is this assassination, right? If there's actually a concrete evidence that between the link with Malcolm X and there's other guy in Kenya, where they were assassinated the same day. It was because of those integration, and that's where to Nigeria again, you kind of getting it wrong when you said that I think it's not too nice, Kenya, that the African American did not go through anything. Even our independence, talking about the 60s, our independence were literally linked to the struggle that is going on in America, because it was due. The USSR, for instance, which is today Russia, they were using those as a propaganda against the United States of America based on how they are treating the African America. It is because of that people like Nigeria, of course, one would argue that it reinforced the idea of we are selling democracy, right? So all our independence throughout the 60s were literally interlinked with the struggle of the Africans here in America. So a lot actually is going on. Now to Nigeria, where again you need to understand that where the money was. Elon Musk is a prime example. He brought close to $300 million. You know what that gave him? It shifted the whole generation from South Africa. Yes, the picture I'm asking at genocide. But that's what power and money is all about. Now, for we to connect, you are asking how do we build that bridge? We have to start controlling some strategic assets or industry. That no shaking. If any leader actually have independence in Africa, say nothing, just like the way you are talking about, nobody can actually go against the military or anything. You don't finish. So today, if you are in diaspora, you are trying to live with those leaders in the interest that does not align with the power that be. You are sacrificing a lot. If they don't kill you, your business is done. So there is fear. Even Dr. Amiji used the preacher, the Nation of Islam leader as an example. For so many years, now terrorists they classify him. Why? Because he actually have a direct relationship with Gaddafi. More happened to Gaddafi. So all those things are scaring these people in where you want, in way to Nigeria wants them to actually island. I understand that is the way to go, but sacrifice. How many of people ready to die? In as far we still pursuing worldly things that these people produce, there is no way that will happen until we have leaders who say, I don't want material things, I don't want anything, I don't need to go, I don't need to be in abroad. Like until we have that people mindset before you go feel actually close that gap, because you have nothing to lose other than your life, and you don't actually care to actually lose your life. So that's where we need to. So even those in America, black people will get money. Why they ask question, all these billionaire and millionaire athletes, they know they come out directly donate to all these politicians. Let them try them. So that's a reality in this country. That's why the black people are powerful. They will tell you that Atlanta is the city of black excellence. Go there. It is visible that they are powerless, even though from mayor to governor, ecosystem are black, but they cannot do anything. Again, they don't have that money on their own. When people they brag, say, African American community spend 3 trillion, who give them? It is money they give them to spend. What they need to do is stop giving you money to spend, because you are not producing anything, you are not controlling anything. So it is bigger than just having money. How you made your money is also important. I always use Obi as an example. There's no way the Nigerian state can go after Obi because they don't know where money they. They don't know where money they. So once in a while, you go see 50 million per those state, you go see 20 million. There's no way they can attack it. So it is very important that how you make that money very secure.
Can I just chime in?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You see, you mentioned fear, you mentioned power, money, and then eventually you decide to end up somewhere near power. But in the end, it's always about power. And when you said people can decide that, okay, they don't fear anymore, because now they understand that material things is not what is going to get you what you want. You have to be determined beyond material things. That said, you see, Dr. Rudolph, the reason why I said that was because you were coming across as if you were saying, "Oh, there's connection already." That but maybe not being done very well in a kind of way that says there's not that much to be done in that arena. That's why I asked you if you have anything, tell us, and you did tell us. Now you started explaining some of the things you see that we don't see. You, as a journalist, you probably see what goes on in Washington, in New York when they arrive there, the African leaders, but they don't make a point of saying, you know what, let's all gather around and say, meet the African American leadership, or in short, all of them. It doesn't matter what party, as family, that we have to be a bit more organized about it. Yeah, even if we are afraid, but what kind of fear is that? Because if, like, you'll be asked, where is the money coming from? Many of these people, you can have them invest on the continent where they have the government can give them guarantee where their money is secure. At the same, because you people have secure money on the continent, and they are afraid in America because they don't have that leverage. If small Israel can make America quake to the point whereby they are worried that their leaders don't listen to them anymore, how is it that a massive continent like Africa cannot be able to wield any influence at all? Right now, it is so poor. Even if they come, I know I've seen Black Caucus members in Ghana. I've seen them in a few countries, but they come, and sometimes maybe when they come, they actually come and do nefarious things, because they do nefarious things in America too. After all, Condoleezza Rice was there, or one of the Rices, not Condoleezza Rice, one of the Rice, I think Susan Rice or something. She was there when Abacha died.
Jollof Rice.
Yeah, Abiola passed. So some of all these things, maybe the connection that they have, if any, instead of them to be fostering the interests of Africa, based on what we can see, they are actually fostering the interests of their nation, because many of them don't.
Dr. Dameji dined and won with Buhari when Buhari was in power. Waiting in Telam. They had dinner in New York, Dr. Dameji with Buhari. We saw
he sees them now. He sees them beyond what we see. So he knows a little bit more, and he shared some of them today.
Let me also point out while we're here that in Ghana, most people may not know this. There's a community in Ghana that is African American community. You know, they are just expanding in that territory. It's causing a little bit of conflict, but also it's important to know that it requires leadership with foresight. I think Ghana and maybe Kenya, I think 2 countries in Africa, been able to extend citizenship to people born outside of, Black people born outside of Africa. It requires foresight. If the big countries do not have leadership with that foresight, just think about Nigeria. In the last 40 years, which leader in Nigeria had time to think about how do we connect to other Black people all over the world. Which one? Obasanjo made
They are
it.
working instead. They are working against itself.
Only Abiola tried it and he didn't make it.
No, he didn't. He wasn't a leader. He didn't. I mean, what I mean by that, people who had power, not
Okay.
people who are thinking
Who
about
tried
it.
to.
Yeah, you have to have power to be able to make these things work. So the people, is it Jonathan that will be thinking about African American? What does he know about African Americans? Is it who is it? I don't know, but you require that kind of leadership to be able to have that kind of conversation. All right, we have about 12 minutes left. Let me get people who are yet to weigh in to say something. Bumi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Damages. I listened to the show. It was very informative. Like the guest really made some certain things clear about, not just American politics, but like, politics in general, how the world is being run. But I think why I came, because obviously I'm not American, but I always, when I learn something, I try to reflect it back to, Nigeria, because I think majority of the politics we tend to talk about is, Nigerian politics. When he and I think forefathers and Ove mentioned about, money, and they talked about, I think Apex, and how they tend to influence the American system. They talked about, money being the key drive to it. But for me, what I understood was mostly consequence. Talking about fundraising, like when you get elected leader or something, basically letting them know that if you don't align with our interest, or if you get into power and you try to deviate from what we actually elected you from, you will face that consequence in terms of our money. It's going to go to someone else. We're going to find someone else that's going to do it better. And I think for me, listening to that, I looked at the Nigerian, election setting, or for the coming election in, I think, 2027. And when I listen to us talk about, who's going to win the election, is Peter Obi going to, sit down to be vice president, or what's Atiku going to do? It's interesting because we don't determine who's going to be the next president. Whether or not 20 million Nigerians decide to show up, like you said, money, or at least consequences, actually determines who's going to be in power. I think the question we should ask ourselves is, what has the average or the Nigerian people actually shown as their own consequence? We had multiple people come into power, whether it's presidents or governors. How have you showed them that this is your consequence? Buhari recently came to power and he's gone. I mean, unfortunately, he's dead. But before he died, there was no consequence. So my question is, for us, when it comes to the new election, what is your consequence for actually Tinubu? Because that's what actually makes him come into power and do what he wants. Well, not what he wants. He's doing what whoever brought him to power wants him to do. So his consequence is for those people, not the average Nigerian. So for me, I'm like, okay, if we can see this is how American politics works, which is kind of how politics works in general, how can you emulate that in your own setting when it comes to Nigeria? What is our own consequence? Okay, for example, Peter Obi. If Peter Obi gets into power, what is his consequence? There is no consequence. So you can talk about how amazing this guy is, he's with the people and that. But the only consequence is just Jesus touching his hat. Because as an average Nigerian, you can do absolutely nothing to this guy. He doesn't owe you anything apart from love of God. And if we keep on running in terms of good heart, good heart, we're not going anywhere. And that's why if you look at the past elections we've been having, there is no change. Whether it's 30 years, 40 years, nothing has happened because there is no consequence or money or organization, however you want to put it into your analysis. There is no consequence from the average Nigerian. So I think I just wanted to put that in place in tech when we were talking about the next election, who's going to win. Let's start looking at it from that perspective of things. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bumi. Thank you so much. KJ.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Damages. Today was very, very damaging, and we all were able to participate. And I thank you, Bumi. You said almost everything I want to say, apart from the fact that, you know, I want to add to Dr. Rudolph. He said since the last 40 years, how many Nigerians leaders have thought about, uniting with African Americans? They were, you forgot the first tax 77. First tax 77, 77 this year. At least there were children who were singing it all around. But you see, the problem with the Nigerian leadership is that we have very, very beautiful ideas, but nobody follows through. We were able to intervene in most African countries, shed Nigerian blood, spend Nigerian resources. And at the end, those countries are treating us like rubbish because, again, there is no follow-up. Nobody, no leader have a vision to be able to map out what we really want from those interventions and how it can benefit the African, our country. See, if FESTAC was taken to the limit, which is what I thought it was, that was an opening for every Black person around the earth to have been able to know about Nigeria, carry some part of Nigeria, and intelligent people will have, been able to, the low-hanging fruit. You are declaring that, look, Nigeria is open to all. Those of you who were taken for whatever reason and all that, and who will have been able to make a lot of kill on it. Even now that Ghana has been able, one way or the other, and Kenya have one way or the other been able to smuggle themselves into that bracket. What have we learned from it? Have we even been able to see how we can do that? No. You see, let me say something. And I listened to the guy and I had pity for my country because we have not been able to solve one problem. I'm trying to do a broadcast to tell you guys that those of you who think Nigeria is going anywhere, just take example of this century. I'm not talking about so far. Obasanjo introduced and the mobile phone system. In every other part of the world, mobile phone system works very well. In Nigeria, you have to dive many times before you can even get a conversation going for like 3 minutes before it goes off or you get cut off. So even with what is new, we're not able to make, take it to the max where we can even communicate effectively. So what am I trying to say? It does, and even as it is right now, you still pay heavily for those services and you get nothing. It doesn't bother anybody. So, and like Bumi said, who is getting the best out of it? To who are you? And we have discussed this. So this is not even a new thing on this channel, because we talked about when they were going to Chatham House to go and give them their report card, and we are saying, is it Chatham House you're supposed to be speaking to, or speaking to the people in Nigeria? So when they come into governance, they owe nobody nothing. If you doubt me, take the local government elections just yesterday. Is there any difference? Did you see any son of a prominent person snatching ballot boxes? The people who do the dirty game are the same people we are talking about every day on this channel, and they're not even listening. Okay, they're not even listening. Nothing is changing. So somehow, sometimes you just feel discouraged. Like me, I am totally discouraged. If you ask me, I will say, let us balkanize the country. Let Obududuwa go. Let Niger Delta go. Let the Biafra go. Let the North go. Let the Middle Belt go. And let them go and find how to survive. Thank you.
All right. Before Apache.
Dr. Damaji, talking about linking up, with Saraki as a governor of Kwara State, linked up with Jay-Z and Beyonce. They even got title and street name after them. So, but
all right. Yeah, thank you. Let me say before Apache, because we are running out of time, KJ has to start the full reaction to this interview. But I want to point out that the purchasing power of African Americans as of 2019 was 1.7 trillion. No, 2019 was 910 billion. But by 2030, it's going to be 1.7 trillion purchasing power. So you think about it and you wonder, the money that Tinubu spent going to St. Lucia, this small country, Caribbean country, you would think that if that money was invested in putting together a visit by the top African country leader visiting America to connect with African Americans with that purchasing power and the influence in the biggest country in the world, that will change everything. That's the kind of thing that if you push something like that, and nobody will protest that the president of Nigeria is coming.
You are enemy of Tinubu. You don't want Tinubu to win 2027 election, Abi. You don't want him to win. Okay, we'll continue.
So, but it requires, and I'm not saying that an idea like this may not have been on his table, but it has to be someone who can buy into it, who can see. And this is someone who lived in America, so it's not like he's like Jonathan, who didn't know where the airport was before he became president. But I'm saying, but he could buy into that, and there will be potential a lot. But that's something.
But if you're ready to do one-term president, he can push that seriously, because there's always a consequence, and I think that is their fear. I'm not saying that should be the thing, but that's where the leader who is ready to say, I don't care, damn whatever that is going to come. This is what is good for my people in the long run. Those are the kind of people or organization we need to have. People everything has consequences.
No. You guys hold on. I want.
Sorry. Let me just put something before you cut us, please. Just 1 second. Ovie, what the North is trying to do is to destroy the only credibility Jonathan has. They're not going to give him anything. Let him remain out. There's nothing to bring him back. If you are his relative, tell him that.
Where Jonathan come? How did we get to Jonathan?
All right. No, you guys just calm down. Prince Apache, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Damages, and good afternoon, every other person. If you leave Ovie and KJ, they'll think they own the platform and they will talk to you tomorrow or next tomorrow. Somebody like KJ has not even deemed it fit to say sorry for what I did during the election. But he will quickly deny, I'm not a MAGA. Look at what your MAGA is doing. Look at what is going on. I hope in Maryland, you are enjoying Maryland. And Maryland is a democratic governor. If not, that man will come there and use ICE to take every one of you out of that place. But it is what it is.
Pretty much. On the line. So go ahead. Your name is on the line.
Pretty much. Another person, I'm so surprised that he's so much into American politics. It's to Niger forefathers. Forefathers, what are you doing in London or England, in UK? What have you been able to organize? It's always, why didn't you people do this? You guys do this, you guys do that. And thank God Junior told you how it works. He told you how it works. Okay? Politics in America. I wanted to run for an office. Okay, in the city of Pittsburgh in California, it's mostly dominated by you have the Hispanics and then you also have the blacks. But something prompted me to say no, because at the end of the day, the person who is there, who happens to be an African American, is also doing a good job. So why would I want to go and challenge him if he's doing a good job? I opted out of it. Now, my own thing is this. We can talk how much, we can talk and talk, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, just like Junior said, you can't be on the fence. You have to play a role. You can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican. But all this blame game should stop. Those of you in Republican dominated areas, how far, how market, how is it going with you guys? And probably some of you that live in Texas, thank you for bringing up gerrymandering. So you guys bring it up, and we are waiting. We are waiting over here. We'll also replicate whatever you guys do we'll replicate it here. And the good thing about it is that we are, I think we're bigger than Texas, or you guys are bigger than us. I don't know, but it's almost the same thing. We can carve out enough places.
California is bigger in terms of population. Almost 3
Okay.
times.
But what about landmass? Landmass, I think Texas is bigger. Yeah. So that's just that,
But I am in Democrat state right now as I speak. I left a Republican state 3 days ago.
And you're enjoying it.
Republican state.
And you're enjoying it, huh?
No, in terms of
You're enjoying it, and they're allowing you do your 2 fingers, huh? Woo!
There's interesting thing about these 2 states. I think Dr. Damage did a good job. The last time I was in New York, he pointed it out, right?
Good.
There is the way New York and New Jersey is mixed, right? That racial tension is not visible. It's not there.
Good.
Right?
Good.
But even though it's there, like place like Texas, but I would say I feel more secure, more comfortable living in Texas than in here. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I'm still exploring, but Dr. Damiji did I don't think Dr. Damiji understand what he said to me then, what he actually opened my eyes to because I was looking for something. What is different about these people here and there? And until Dr. Damiji said it out loud that the racial tension and all those things is not there. And
okay, Ovia, let me round up before you take all my minutes. Okay, let me round up before you take all my minutes. You've taken word from my mouth. So, in a nutshell, all I'm saying is this. Okay, whether you are African American, you are Sierra Leonean American, you are whatever it is, to me, I do not see any color. And like Junior said, I appreciate them. He didn't say go and kneel down and say thank you. But there are ways to bridge the differences. Where you work, there are probably there are some people there who are misunderstanding the fact that whatever it is, the little beef that is going on. Where I work, I always make sure that I relate with them, and I also try to find a common ground where they will understand me and I understand them, and we exchange ideas and all that kind of a thing. It's not about you don't owe them anything. At least for me, I'm grateful that they did what they did. Without their protest, without their civil rights, whatever it is, I won't be here. So first and foremost, give credit to who credit is due. That's all they're asking for. That's all. There's nothing to have pride in. That's it. Thank you, Dr. Damages.
All right. Thank you, Akwachi. And on that note,
Mr. Akwachi, that you are proud of your governor, he just launched the 2028 campaign. You think he want to redraw the map of California? He just wants to go for 2028.
Don't worry. 2028, I will be his campaign manager. Don't worry. We'll get in there.
All right. On that note, I will have to thank everybody that joined me today. I appreciate all of you. Next Sunday, we are going to bring the chairman of the World Igbo Congress to tell us about the bank they are about to open in Boston. They have a convention coming up in Boston at the end of the month. And other interesting guests are lined up for the show in the coming weeks. I want to thank those.
What's the difference between World Congress and Igbo? What's the difference?
No. World Igbo Congress is supposed to be for, I think, Igbo people all over the world. And I think whether Ohaneze is under it or it's under Ohaneze, I don't know. But
well, that's one question to ask that man.
Yeah, good question. All right. Let me just thank those that supported us, and there are quite a number of you. A Black Beauty, thank you so much for your support. We actually depend on this. Igbo Basics, thank you so much. Oscar Blackbone, thank you. Let me see, Igbo Basic, Real IK, thank you so much. And this name, I am having difficulty to pronounce it, but thank you so much. anybody that can help me pronounce that name. But I thank everybody.
Meoibe.
What did you say?
Meoibe.
Meoibe. Okay. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. I know. I appreciate all of you. And then, of course, people who are behind the scene help to put this all together. I thank you for your support. Sometimes I run out, I'll be looking for a video while we are live and somebody is looking for it for me and they will send it to me. So I appreciate all of you helping out.
People, please, I don't know, maybe you people notice I host Igbo show. And it's not easy. I found out that it's not easy. So it's not easy what Dr. Damage, what it does. It's not easy. I'm telling you guys, it's not easy. Sometimes I don't, I'm so tired. I don't host the show. I mean, I just think of something to, write down. It's not easy. So please appreciate Dr. Rudolph, because if I were the one, hosting this show, I mean, many days you guys will come here. I'm not here, so please, I'm begging, please, if you're in the US, Zelle. Because I like all these super chat you guys do, but super chat, they take all the money. Do Zelle, do pay, what the paper, is it paper? Yeah, paper, Zelle, please. Cash App. It's schooling under there. Just copy it, just, Zelle, Cash App. He's trying, I don't know, I don't know how you guys.
Dr. Damage, contract your marketing to Igbo Basics. Igbo Basics is a good marketer.
Thank you, everybody. Forefathers, thank you so much. Okija, thank you. Support Diaspora voting, thank you. Ovie, thank you. Bumi, everybody, KJ, everybody that joined us in the panel. It's really appreciated because you don't know how difficult it will be to host a show and nobody is there. So I appreciate everybody on the comment section.
I know. Keep yabbing me, I know.
Ovie, you should know.
I was telling you that.
All right, so I will see you guys next week. Thank you, everybody. Join KJ's.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Have you subscribed? Yes, you. Have you subscribed? You. Yeah, before you go, click. It's free. Click. Just that's it. Have you subscribed? You are laughing. Have you subscribed? Have you subscribed? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, madam. Thank you so much. I can see you. I can see you. We have to get to 100,000 subscribers. This by the end of the year. How are we going to do that if you don't subscribe? Yes, you. Yes, you're about to click off. Why? Have you subscribed? It's free.